All right, so we live. We live and we back. We're still looking at the world events, the Iran or the U.S. and Iran conflict. All right, so we're just getting, we're just getting started, right here, sending out a few of these little invites or whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna focus, on a couple of things as we get into the continued discussion around this topic. And it's always been engaging. Um, Not only are we going to look at the concept of international law, the impact that that has had and what it will mean, going forward. We're also looking to consider, or we want to talk about protection, right? This is our regular scheduled discussion, you all, as normally on this night we talk about civics and we talk about, justice and we go into Fourth Amendment advocacy. And I just want to point out the concept of Fourth Amendment advocacy, the need to be, protected against that unreasonable search and seizure, right? Or protection against search and seizure. This thing has gone from a micro concept as we look at it just right here within these demographics in America to globally. Like if you look at how the U.S. has entered into Iran, protection against search and seizure, or the concept of Fourth Amendment advocacy, it rose into play even on an international scale, understanding how countries and how people have the right to be protected and what that means or what that looks like. So we're dealing with that from the standpoint of, international law, from the standpoint of protection. Okay. And we're also pointing out the question, was it a mistake? What transpired? The petrodollar. We want to talk about that. And this one, you all, I'm not certain how many of you are familiar with the prediction markets. If you don't know about, the prediction markets, then you're going to learn something today. Greetings, brother Noor. Yeah, greetings to you. But if you don't know about the prediction markets, you're going to learn about the prediction markets today. Big Kev, appreciate you for, coming in. Yeah, so we're just getting started. And I think it's interesting that we have this conversation looking at what's happening on a global stage and how it plays into international law, you all, because I'm just going to be real. We're right here in America, and we are a nation of people still being ruled by another nation of people, and we're looking to get from under that oppression. Okay. And we're needing to use the concept of international law to do that. So we have to want to understand with how everything is going in the world now, what that means, what that looks like. And I'm just going to say this, okay? I can never side with my oppressor. I just can't do it, okay? Understanding everything that's going on. There are some folks, they're chanting or, they're on the side of we're the strongest, we're the best. I don't know who this we is. And there are those that say, if you don't like it, just leave type thing. Well, there's no place for me to go. But what I am working on is what decolonization, what it looks like, what it means, so that we can function as a nation of people. Okay. So we just got our first guest to pop up on stage. Who we got here? Who is the first guest? Who we got here?
Dakir Dawood.
Dakir. Okay. Dakir, have you been on this platform before?
Yes, I have. Earlier this week, the cause 2K, and I'll make one simple saying. I'm gonna send you a clip of this YT American. I guess he's like retired officer. Well, he does uh, analytics, and he's saying that Israel is being hit hard. I mean, extremely hard by these Iranian-backed Chinese missiles, supersonic. And I just saw something on IG, which I will not post on TikTok because certain things they will flag you. But I've been watching these missiles tearing up Tel Aviv and parts of Jerusalem. So you do dirt, you get dirt. So the same thing how Israel was bombing these Palestinian homes, trying to find Hamas. Now, too, I am Muslim, but I do not support Hezbollah or Hamas. But Iran, they are doing their thing. They are beating down Israel and the U.S. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I appreciate you, for bringing that to the table, brother Mario. How you doing?
Greetings, greetings. I'm pretty good, brother. How you doing today?
Good, man. We looking at why now. What's next, and I was just putting out how we're focused on this from a different perspective, looking at international law as we're considering what decolonization is, coming to understand these world events and how international law plays, into it, what that means, like the impacts, the effects. Also asking the question, was it a mistake? We're looking at the petrodollar. And I'm going to talk about the prediction markets. Like, I don't know what people know about the prediction markets when it comes to talking about this subject matter, but just opening up, Brother Mario, is there anything you wanted to add to this conversation based on your experience or how it has impacted you, or just your thoughts centered around why now, what's next?
That is a very deep question, brother 2K. Um, where I'm standing right now is I'm pretty much just watching the show because I understand that at the end of the day, in the background, we're not talking about countries. We're talking about corporations. And the bottom line for corporations at the end of the day is profit. So the the what we're witnessing is just scenarios that they're putting up to influence profit. So you were talking about the predictions. Well, we all know that war makes money. You know what I'm saying? So people are buying. Well, which companies can I get into that's gonna make me the most money? Because they know that the dollars are gonna. They just passed the highest legislation for the highest budget to go to war. The money's got to go somewhere, and if you can get into those companies that are going to skyrocket, then But nobody's thinking about the morality behind that. Again, you putting your dollars behind a war machine that is nothing but profit at the end of the day, and they are brutalizing innocent people for the sake of tearing down some infrastructure that other companies are going to come right in and build up. That's another money grab. I mean, it's not like it's a new playbook. All these people have been through this playbook before, and they pretty much know where the money's going to be delegated, and it's not going to be to the people, which is us. So all of this is a distraction from us unifying, figuring out what we want to be called, and self-governing, putting ourselves in position of self-government to ensure that these corporations are not going to war against our own benefits because they are again are becoming in control of the resources, which is a hindrance to decolonization because of the propaganda that comes with it and us being able to take advantage of the resources for our own communities and our own benefits. And I know I unpacked a whole lot in a little bit, but I just wanted to say that, brother, and I yield.
You know, you spoke some things that kind of speak to the point that I had said a couple of times back that the war machine or how they're um, profiting off of it, that's a part of the process. Like once I saw that it's costing $1 billion to deal with one plane off of the ship, I'm like, you all, yeah, this is intentional in a number of areas and or ways that we're not really, I don't think we're objectively, looking at it. And furthermore, just coming to understand, man, we've seen this, before. So I'm gonna cut it short real quick because Mark is up here, on the stage. And Mark, you may have something, you want to say as we get further into this discussion.
Yes, can you hear me before I begin?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Before I begin, I need to let you know that I used to be in politics. I ran for city commissioner and county commissioner and other things beyond that. I need to let you know that responding to your prompt to begin with, to be respectful, I'm going to tell you what's next. See, people, or not people, let me say, some people do not realize what's going on. And let me start off by saying that Jasmine Crockett did have a win by not no longer being out in Front Street. Look at your recent situations within the past 5 years. All your CEOs, all your presidents of different companies have been resigning. All your Congress people and different other major people have been resigning, getting out of being a target. In other words, when things about to go down, which is happening right now. Look at your recent situations like this, for instance. This situation, let's go backwards. The Venezuela, now Ecuador, yesterday, Greenland, and look across the street, across the water, where Putin is taking land. Similar situation. You got to read between the lines. Let me tell you what's going on real quick. What's happening? If you, my friend, knew something was about to take place, you would take every heed of every measure to make sure that you have every resource close to you. Okay? Greenland, Venezuela, there's minerals and things like that, just in case we get cut off from everything. Same way with Putin. He's doing the exact same thing. Okay? Understand, it's a bigger picture more than what you think. And I understand the other person was talking about money. I was laughing. Let me tell you why. In your house, in everybody's house that can hear my voice, you do not have that machine that prints off money. They do. That's why trillions and beyond your imagination of black operations and projects has been done by the government with trillions of dollars, not from you, but from a printer that they print off money constantly. It's nothing but a piece of paper from a machine that they have. You don't have it. Okay? I understand. See, all that talk that they give out there to you is for you to think one way and to say is this with your own concepts. It's not. Let me tell you for a fact, for me, when I ran for city and county commissioner, I had my implants at the Board of Elections, my people, okay? And what happened was this: I won, but they lied and told the public I did not win because the Board of Election, the people down there, shaved the votes, okay? And this is not from one, but I have many people that work down there, okay? And it's no problem. It was all in the news and everything. It was no problem because I know they want who they want in positions. You have to understand that. Case in point, if me and you were tight friends, and you got your family and your boys and your family, your whatever, and me too. And we were in politics, and all your families in politics, and all of mine. You and I will work together to make sure that nobody else will get in. Do you understand? That's how it is. So understand the fact that what's going to happen next is this. They told you in advance. They spoon fed you. They got you trained in the training called COVID. That was a training thing. That was for everybody across the board for what's to happen. Now that you're ready and trained for COVID when it happens, because it's about to happen. That little thing that happened when it was a shutdown, always about to happen. Always going down. Always going down. Don't think that this is just going to happen and be over. No, this is going to go on for quite some time until what they are expecting to come and what's going to happen here is going to take place, and then that's going to be it. That's going to end game. There's not going to be no more presidents. There's not going to be no more situations of things of that nature, because you look at your own neighborhood. Haven't they been building and rebuilding different situations through your for FEMA, the Army and military situations in your own neighborhood? Haven't the gas companies been coming to your neighborhood and taking your gas meters away from your one side of the house and putting it to the north side, like they did mine in my whole neighborhood? They took the metal pipes from the house to the main pipes and put a rubber hose. They're expecting land movement, including the electric company came around to our places here in Ohio. We have wooden poles, okay? They put some solutions and things because they're expecting standing water. Everything's in your face. And I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I'm gonna land my plane. I'm 62 years old. Let me tell you, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they all had different colors for their buildings. They were in competition. Now today, if you look at churches, all of them, they all have that what? Black, brown, muted color. All of them look the same. What they have in different places, they're testing kiosks. They also have robots. They're getting you prepared for that mud flood. Don't think it's not coming. I'm telling you, understand the facts. You got to look beyond. You really think the government is telling you, the public, the truth? They told you in your face. They know that I'm not going to say you're lacking of knowledge. I'm going to tell you why. They tell you in your face. When you go and parade and make your vote, it's called the popular, and Google it because you young people like to fact check. It's called the popular vote. Your vote don't count. It doesn't matter.
All right. So we're gonna kind of stop right there for a quick second, Mark, to give LD a chance to speak. Then we're gonna come back to you, and you'll be able to finish up your thought. But you made some real strong points, and it almost sounds like LD might want to rebuttal. You know what you're saying, LD. You got the floor.
Yeah, I mean, money answers all things. That's what the scripture says. You know, and the love of money is the root of all evil. So those are the principles to money. It answers things in this world, and overzealous with it, it would send you to a doom. That's all I wanted to say. You know,
Okay. All right.
it's
Pretty
important. If
good.
it's not important, then send me all your dollars. If it's not important to you, I give you my address.
I don't think he meant it like that. I don't think he meant it like that. But again, I can't put words in his mouth. But we got one more person that just came on the stage. Pancha. We'll give Pancha a chance to speak. Then I'll come back to you, Mark. Go ahead, Pancha. You're on mute if you are trying to talk. You're on mute. Pancha going once. Pancha going twice. All right, Pancha must be new to the app. He can't find the mute button. All right. Well, you are here, Pancha. So one thing I want to bring to the okay, so we got somebody else that just came up.
Dove.
Dove. Okay, Dove, what you want to add real quick before I let Mark talk again and I bring out one of my points here?
I just joined. I didn't get a chance to even see what or like hear what you guys were talking about. But I guess in a sense to how maybe some Middle Easterns see this conflict is to really just stay out of it in regards to this, I guess Sunni Shia talking point and regime change talking point that everybody's, spewing in the West. It doesn't really make sense to us because how, the IRGC has been, um, through war with Afghanistan and through all of their tragedies, just because you bomb their Ayatollah is not going to make this regime change any better. It actually is just causing that how can you guys stop a regime change by doing the same thing that the regime is doing? It's not making sense to anybody, and I feel like the U.S. government is even coming out and talking about how confused they are about this situation, as they like it. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, some great points that you're bringing out, which goes into the mixed emotions, that we also talk about within this. While some folks are celebrating, you have, other folks that are truly um, processing this in a totally different manner. And I just don't understand how, with respect to what America is, how people can really be on board with what's happening. It appears to be very hypocritical to me. That's to me. And mixed emotions. I know some folks out there will disagree, with me on that part,
Yes.
right there. And I will allow folks to have their thought on that. And the other thing I'll say is, I can't, there's nothing in me that will allow me to, side with the actions of my oppressor and looking at what appears like an attempt to oppress on a broader scale, which would then bring me to some of the principal points that I would like to talk about later, with which, based on rights in general, unalienable rights, which speak to protection. But I'm gonna hold up and give somebody else, a chance to speak. Let me see, who was it? Let me see. Wait 1 second. Let's
Might
see
be me,
who.
Nadim.
Okay, hold. Let me double check. Yep. No, let me go to Avery, and then I'll come back to you, Nadine. Avery, how you
Right, sir.
doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How's everybody doing today? I'll just
Good.
I'll just speak on it kind of briefly. That I know they they said this president has bombed seven countries in 1 year, and my thing is that we here in America, they said we're supposed to be a nation under God, but yet we contradicting ourselves. We going places and we're starting fights, and we're not voting with Congress, and we're not agreeing, and it's just one person leading the country. It doesn't seem like how it used to be, where you had to vote on people, go to the UN, talk to them, get a resolution, and they had signed peace treaties before anybody could do any bombing. They had to come sit down at a round table and discuss it among countries, but now that's off the table. So, the United States and other countries, they feel like if there's no bargaining chip, everybody's just a loose cannon now, and I think it's going to be catastrophic in the end. That when they said when a nation rise against nation, and it's going to be hell. They said if a nation forgets about God, the earth will be turned into hell. And everywhere you go, not just on TV, but it's this feeling that everybody is uneasy and everybody is aggressive towards one another. No love, no joy. And how can we exist as a nation or a country if everybody is angry and upset and have indifferences? Different groups and different nationalities.
But yeah, from the standpoint of, international law, I'm this is one of the questions we're going to get into, because it seems as if the leaders of this country saying they are about law and order, they're trampling, on the broader perspective and or concept of what law and order actually is, seeing how nations have prescribed on an international scale how they're going to do it. But America, being the biggest and supposedly the strongest, appears to have taken, an approach to say, to hell with that. We're going to do what we want to do and can't nobody, stop us. Well, where's the order in that? Where's the law, in that? And hopefully you'll never hear me say we. If I do, it's a mistake, because I don't side with what's going on. I'm adamant with expressing that I can't, I cannot agree. I cannot deal with my oppressor and cheer on their movements as if this is something that, I too, am a part of. So, and then I'd like others, the ability to be able to articulate what that means. But again, this platform right here, right now, we do allow people to, have their points. So Nadeem, I think you were next in the chamber. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you, host. And before I say anything, I'd like to thank you for running this program, man. You're doing justice. There's a lot of other lives that are similar, but they are bringing emotions into trying to figure out the truth. But you are doing a very good job, and I appreciate you for that. So, my view on this, what's next? I think this is the beginning of the end. A lot of people, and maybe some of these other guests have already mentioned this, or you might have mentioned it. We have to see, everybody's focused on Iran. Everybody's focused on that war. They're focused on the kids' school getting bombed, and so what they've done is they have brought so many different aspects to divert people's attention. First, the war on Iran, then the sentimental value of the kids getting killed, and then the financial value, distraction of the oil being held up, and all.
Hey, Nadeem, let me interject real quick. Nadeem, let's try to remember our TikTok etiquette, and versus the K word. We want to be on a live. Okay. All right. Take yourself off of mute, Nadeem. You can finish.
Thanks. Yeah. So, um, uh, yeah, I kind of get swayed away with it. So, people, I think there are people who are realizing it, but the distraction is there. They're not looking that Israel has launched another war directly with Lebanon, and it has told the people where a certain area don't come back because they are trying to take the land away now. They're trying to seize that portion of land, and now they're going to claim it as it is part of Israel, the greater Israel, the entire thing that has been happening behind the scene. And I know a lot of people might have mentioned it, and I might not have heard it here, but this is the true game. The United States is getting their piece of the cake, whatever they wanted. They wanted to destroy things, and the midterm elections are coming. The president wanted to show what he was doing, right, and he wanted to win that. Plus, oil might be a bit of it, right? But the main point here is the president of United States was just a puppet. Right. The Israeli prime minister knew exactly what he was doing. He knew this is the only chance he's going to get. In the future, there might not be any other president who he could manipulate and get his task done. This is the time. Right now, only US is fighting Iran, right? And the entire army of Israel is at Lebanon, and they are going after that land. So, as I've mentioned, and I've also shown in my videos as well, on the Israeli army badge, there's the entire section, the map of the greater Israel. If you go and look at that map, it has everything in it, right? And this is what's happening. There's a lot of people who are diverting their attentions to other things that are going on, but they are forgetting about the prophecy. We are people of faith, irrelevant. We are all part of the Abrahamic religion, right? We are all part of Abraham, and we got to believe in this prophecy, because all of this is happening because of their prophets' prophecies, and we must understand the end goal, which is coming. And this is the beginning of the end. And I hope I hope I haven't disturbed your program, but it is a very sad day for everybody, because up till now it was only focused on Palestine and Israel, but now it's moving into the other territories as well. Thank you, sir.
No, it is not a disruption to the program. Again, on this platform, everyone have a place to express their views. I'm not trying to argue with you, about your views. We want to hear what you have to say. We might learn something within, what you're saying, but we will express what needs to be expressed because, again, there are a lot of mixed emotions, out here about this, and I'm okay, with talking about it, also understanding what things actually need to be done on our side to move forward to protect ourselves from it. So one thing you did say I want to speak on is you said the US is engaging with Iran, in conflict. And today I really sat back and I was like, wait a minute. I thought this was a conflict between Israel and Iran, but this is not a Israel Iran type war. This is a U.S. and Iran type war, and it's as if Israel kind of gets left out of the conversation. When that happens.
Yes.
So it's just been pretty interesting, to me. So we just got two people, I think, that just came up on the stage, or one maybe. Altum, you want to jump in real quick before I go back to the rest of the panel?
Yeah, thank you so much, brother. No, I've just been paying attention on what's going on over there, and what's concerning to me is if everybody's going to jump on Iran, um, and they got the mentality like martyrdom, that like I'm just not going, how to like, like a crazy brother, where it's like, if it's going to be like that, then it's going to be like that type of mentality. Then it's like cornering a cat or something, and they decide to just throw everything at you, including the kitchen table. What ends up what the danger of that kind of thing, you put them in a corner like that, is they likely to do anything. Bite your ear. You know what I'm saying? Scratch you. And when you get that kind of, you put a nation like that on that desperate, we're all in danger. So I just kind of just putting it out there that I really do hope that don't nobody join this. Let's let it be America and Israel versus Iran. Leave it at that. Because if everybody starts jumping on Iran, they can get the poison in waterways. I mean, ain't no telling them what they can do, man. I mean, the terrorism. You put someone in a corner like that who ain't as scared to die, who's looking to martyr themselves anyway. They ain't gonna fold, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Those people is not gonna fold. Those are not the folding type. There's certain type of people that will fold. They don't fold. Those people do not fold. These are not like Arabs. These here is Persians. These are a whole different kind of bloodline, man. These ain't this is the real deal. These people is real fighters. They're the real fighters. And another aspect of this that we got to remember is God might have heard the tears of the Palestinian children under that rubble. And if God heard those tears and he backs Iran to avenge those tears because God is a just God, then the whole world's in trouble. The whole world could jump on Iran. They still get their ass whooped. All right, thank you.
That was so deep.
Okay, so I want you all to understand China is already, involved with this thing. The UK is involved. France is involved. I mean, we're en route to a third world conflict. So I just want to say, Mr. Area 51, he got upset because I skipped him. Didn't mean to do it. It was unintentional. But he says unfollowed. Okay, no problem, you all. Let's see who we got next. Let me go back up to Doug, did you wanna make a comment? All right, you're on mute if you're talking, Doug. All right. Anyone else on the panel? Did you have something
Yeah,
you
I
wanted?
think, yeah, I'd like to speak, if that's
Okay,
okay.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go
If I could
ahead.
just make a quick point, backing off of what he was saying, we also need to think about the scale that the UK and that these other countries, including China, how they are, involved in this war. So the UK, China, right? China is supplying. They were, they did send 4 aircraft carriers that went not on the radar to Iran, supplying them. But that does not, and also the UK opened up its base for the US, which the US begged for. And the UK said that they're going to send over a ship next week. They actually delayed it to see what Iran is going to do. So I feel like everybody is calm, collected. They have opened up their bases because the US, that it's for the US's defense. They are steadfast in their defense in their own countries, but the US has asked these countries to use their bases and supplies. So that is why they are quote unquote involved in this right now. But places like Spain has blocked Trump and the US from using their base, and that is why the Trump imposed a block on Spanish or goods from Spain currently.
Mhm. Absolutely. Let's see. I know Mark,
Nadim.
you've been patient, Mark, and I know Nadeem, you got something you want to say, but let me ask Mark. You've been patient for a very long time. Mark, did you want to add?
Yes. Um, I listen to what everyone has been speaking on, and I read the comments. I want everyone to unplug yourself from what you're seeing and being told. The key word, you are being told. Okay? See, the gentleman in front of you right there, I look like him. I'm the guy on the left hand side on this picture. That's when I was young back in the 90s working in Hollywood. I look like the gentleman down there. I'm from the 60s, okay? I'm 62 years old, okay? I'm from an era where we were given and told the truth. We saw kids, little kids throwing rocks at tanks. Remember that back in the 60s and 70s? We saw that. We were told the truth and given the truth back in our era. See, in your era, they told you we're changing the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. So think for a second what I'm going to tell you. The gentleman right there, we had red encyclopedias and that one brown thick encyclopedias with the gold trims. They had the truth. They took that away. The same situations with you today. You don't have the information of what we were taught in that era. What I'm saying is that stop looking and going by what they're telling you. Look at the facts. The facts. Let's go back a few years ago. Like I said, if you lay everything, like I said, like a timeline, you will see why every country is trying to take different land and resources because they are all preparing for the exact same thing. Your CEOs that ran to the bunkers and things are everyone is all the same situation. You got to look at this big picture. See, I know why they're doing this. I understand why they're doing this. And you have to understand is something about to happen. Therefore, they're doing all of this right now. And true, what you're saying, the WW3 is about, it's happening right now. It's already started. It already started. It's happening right now. So that's what they told you last year and the years before to what? Stock up. And you can't tell me you didn't see those PSAs from the government. You cannot tell me you did not see all those warnings of what's to come. And it's happening now. And they're not going to tell you no more because they don't want everyone to be walking around. That's a nice way of saying it because it's not going to be that much resource for everyone. And I'll land my plane.
Okay. Political theater. I do totally agree that we're trapped in the cipher of the political theater in conjunction with the narrative trap. So I agree with you, right there. And um, I'm just going to put this out there as it pertains to the prediction markets that you guys can bring some insight, into that, or I'll just talk about what I know about it. But we'll go to Nadine, and you guys can research the prediction markets and see, what they've done and how that plays into the concept of the political theater and the narrative trap. But Nadine, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to shed a bit of light. You know, the guy, not Mark, I think it was Avery or Autumn who was speaking that these guys are resilient in prison. And I just want to back him up and give a bit of information on this. Um, Iran follows are the followers of Hassan and Hussein. We have to go back and understand that their father, Hazrat Ali, was the son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, right? And these guys were sacrificed in the Battle of Karbala. And what I'm trying to say here is Hazrat Ali was the warrior for Islam at that time when they were going door to door, people to people, preaching things, and he was the wall for for Prophet Muhammad. So the Iranians are from that breed. They are warriors who are never gonna say no. And one of the things in them is when they die, they take it that they are doing a deed for God and that gives them heaven. This is one of those things that is in their mindset, and they're never going to back down because they are from that warrior generation and they've gone through all of that. So this is what I just wanted to add a bit of history, that the father of Hassan and Hussein is Hazrat Ali, who is the son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad. So the generation goes really, really back. So this is what is embedded in them.
Okay, guys,
I
hold on.
wanted
We
to
got
add something real quick.
hold on 1 second. I'm gonna let you go, Autumn. Hold on 1 second. We got Deborah that just popped up on the stage. Deborah, did you want to add to the conversation? Then I'll come back to you, Autumn.
No, I never even pressed the join button. I'm just watching.
You just watching? Okay, no problem, Deborah. We'll let you just watch. I'll send you back down.
Okay.
And Autumn, you can go ahead.
It's our tune, brother. It's our tune. But yeah.
My
Uh,
apologies.
no, sorry. Yeah, somebody wrote on the comment down on the panel. Someone done in the lobby said that there was clowning the Iranian regime and all that, and said God got nothing to do with them. It's not about that, brother. God uses who He gonna use. He don't just use perfect people. He could very well be using Iranians to avenge the Palestinian children because He knew that they had the metal to withstand the pressure, while He put His divine justice down. So it's a relationship that God got with us. He don't do the whole everything. He worked with us. So he might very well be using the Iranian people to bring justice, because you can't just be doing that to children. I mean, that's just like like us as an individual. If you do something like that to a child, or do anything, anybody really, that karma gonna come get that ass. That's all that's gonna happen. You can't just hurt innocent people. Now, hey, two grown men get into it or something, whatever. I'm not gonna go there about it or something like that. But I'm saying is that like an innocent child, innocent, you hurt innocent, you get God's attention. So you ain't gonna do it. So and secondly, I was gonna say that as far as the World War III, the end of the world, all that and some more stuff. I think you'd be foolish if you don't at least be good, ready for at least 3 days. I mean, if you ain't got the money to be a survivalist and all that, but you got to at least be prepared for all electricity, water, everything being shut for 3 days, at least 3 days, because that at least give God a chance to get to you. You see what I'm saying? If you're a follower of God, God gonna look out for you, but you got to work with God and everything. You got to work with Him. You got to be hand in hand with Him. He's not a puppet master. So make sure you're at least gonna be good for 3 days. A little rice, a couple some beans, a jacket. You know what I'm saying? Uh, because if the Epstein files is real, and they went, and that is as deep as it seemed. God's judgment finna come down. God's judgment finna come down. You ain't gonna be worshiping Baal and sacrificing babies like that, man. And the country don't do nothing about it neither. Oh no. You know. So if you here in the Babylon, just be, gotta get right with God. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get right with God. If you got right with God, then all you gotta do is endure the days that's coming. He'll give you provisions and watch after you, but you have to endure the mass catastrophes and et cetera and so forth and some more stuff. So just working with God, working out at least twice a week, having some basic stuff, and just at least 10, 15 minutes every morning, communing with God, and just be ready to endure. If it is what it seems like it's starting to be, if you see countries just start jumping on Iran, then you got to start assuming World War III. Thank you.
So at this point, I'm kind of asking for people in the audience, people on the panel, if you guys can help me understand the prediction markets. Looking to see who has information on, the prediction markets. If you're out there in the audience that you know something about that you can enlighten us as it pertains to the prediction markets. Anybody on stage? Know about the prediction markets. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Look like Dayu just came on. We're gonna let Dayu speak, and then I'll let you respond, Mark, about the prediction market. Dayu, go ahead. You just came up.
Yeah, so if you probably remember a couple of years back, China brokered a diplomatic deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran in which they reestablished diplomatic ties. And that was a major defeat on behalf of the Western Bloc in the Middle East. It kind of started this like precedent of Chinese diplomatic relations being like a stronghold and kind of creating more order in the Middle East than the West ever could. But this is a major setback for China. And so I think that the global energy markets now are going to reassert itself around NATO, the UK, and the US, as opposed to the BRICS countries. That's just my predictions.
Okay. Mark, if you wanted to respond to the uh, prediction markets, I think that's what you were coming off for.
Yes. Let me start off by saying this. If you all remember many, many years ago in Japan, the Fukushima situation, when that happened, there was a map that showed the radiation that came from that, where it started from there and went straight across to the east. So it came across everywhere that we see as land. It came across the US, came across Europe, and then that was it. Did you hear what I said? Okay, case in point. Your screen that we're watching the gentleman on right now with the great subject here. If you look to your left, you see the word what. Then you see next. Then you go to your right, you see the panel. And then that's the end of your phone. The concept what I just showed you is exactly what happened with the Fukushima. Radiation went from the left, from Japan, went all the way across to other countries, and that was it. Air moved from what I'm trying to tell you, the air didn't go back all around in circles, okay? It did not go around the circles. You gotta look what's happening here. All your land is stitched of what you see. So this is what's happening right now. You see the big moment of the spoon feeding and getting you prepared not to fly. You cannot tell me if you're 62 years old or in your 60s or your 50s, you know that the airlines back in the day, there was no problem. Never heard of such a situations. But now, haven't you looked at the high escalations of how they're trying to prevent you from flying? If I'm correct, you have to have a special ID now, your license, to fly. So understand soon, all this is about to end. It's a reason why they're doing this, and I don't blame them. I understand why. You have to look at the bigger picture. Don't get caught up in that political situation or this and that. Money is made from one printer, from them, whoever the government is, and that's where the money comes from. Get out that. It's not that. It's not because someone's friend. No, no, no. Look at the bigger picture. Resources close by. Everyone is getting resources and land close by, preparing from when this situation that we're on right now and everything else, your lights, everything that you have as comfortability, water, all that's going to end. And there will be air dominance, not by us. Okay? You saw that last year. They cleared it off of TikTok quick. They don't want you to see that. Okay? You got to look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. So what's next? I'm telling you, what's next is this. You need to make a plan. You need to Google and find out all the pantries in your area, and you need to hit and get a lick off of them for the next several months, as much as you can.
Okay. All right. So that's great advice, Mark, that you put out there. But I really thought you were going to speak to the question based on the prediction markets, because that's what I'm hoping people can give us some understanding to. But not to
I
negate
would
what you
like to
said.
speak.
You
I would
know
like to speak
what
on the
you said,
prediction
Mark.
market. So,
Okay, what you said, Mark, is definitely something to take note of. Okay, but right now, the prediction market, the people out in the audience, to those that are up here on the panel on the stage, Avery wants to share his thoughts about the prediction markets. Tell us what you know.
well, what I've been seeing is, they always threatening Social Security. They always saying the market's going to fall. I think the dollar's going to crash this year, and that's why they're telling you to prepare. I think the war that we're seeing right now and the action that everybody's taking is because the dollar is no longer going to have any value after this war. So they're fighting over resources, like they said. So everybody back here pretty much has been bamboozled. They haven't told us just little by little, prepare. It's just going to be a simple war. It's going to be a crash. And once the system crashes, that's when chaos starts. And that's when America within itself will start to fight one another. I mean, they started with the ICE agents, bringing them into the country for distraction and using them to distract people, for people won't be prepared. But it's going to be a catastrophic when this dollar falls. Your money will have no value. You won't be able to purchase with it. And that's going to be chaos. And the only thing that can keep you strong is prayer and God. So if you haven't put up anything or you haven't put up any resources, your money won't have any value. You won't be able to spend it. And then the new system comes in, new world order. They have to create a new system after the first one that we used to so much and everybody used to crashes. Now it's a new system, pretty much more like digital currency. Some people said Bitcoin, smart coin, something that of the fact. But not after people have fallen, bloodshed, lives being taken. It's going to be so many people who die as the dollar crashes. The people who remain will be the ones who have to get in line and go ahead and deal with the new institution that they institution. It'll be chaos. It'll be all kinds of death and bodies and crumbling. I mean, this is like out of a movie, huh?
So I want to ask you guys to. You might want to Google. You guys may want to Google prediction market Iran attack to better understand what I'm asking when I'm looking for you guys to respond to the prediction markets, because Avery gave his thoughts centered around it, but that's
Yeah.
not what the prediction markets are. But again, your comment is received here as well. But for you all to get a better understanding as to what I'm asking around the prediction market, you might want to Google or AI real quick, prediction market Iran attack, to just kind of get a better feel, because it seems like this may be new, to a number of you, and why I say this also plays into the concept of the political theater. So while you all are gaining your knowledge around that, let's talk about the petrodollar real quick. And if you guys think that has any impact on what's happening with the strategy behind why the US thinks, it's such a great idea to move in on Iran, and knowing that China receives most of, its oil from Iran, what that would mean to China. And China kind of said they're not going to let that happen, and they're not going to allow the U.S. to choke them out like they're choking out Cuba. But I don't know if you all realize the slump that the petrodollar was in before any and all of this, has transpired. But now, it's in a jamboree. It's booming. So, what are you guys' thoughts around that petrodollar?
I have some data regarding the poly market predictions around the prediction market and Kalshi as well.
Go ahead.
Um, so it's basically the majority of trading on the poly market is $12.2 million in volume that's basically going towards the odds of a low immediate ceasefire. So they're betting on a higher odd of a ceasefire by late spring and early summer, and so it's basically kind of like most people believe, and they're willing to put money on it, that there's going to be a ceasefire by early summer or late spring. But there's low cause to believe. People aren't putting their money behind a full-fledged war. Nobody really thinks that it's going to end up being like U.S. forces on the ground. They think it's just going to be just like ballistic missile infighting and stuff like that, but no formal war declaration.
That's a good response as it pertains to the prediction market. So we just got Abdullah. Abdullah coming in. Abdullah, what you want to add to the conversation here? Abdullah going once. Abdullah, you're on mute if you talking. Abdullah. Okay. Abdullah can't seem to find his mute button. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving. Um, Tom, did I say it right?
Atum.
Atum. Okay, Atum. Seemed like you was trying to respond here real quick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm more into the political than the economics, but uh, the main thing when I think of the economics is China's friends with Iraq. Iran. Them two is cool, and so um, what I'm looking for in this conflict is if Iran and whoever allies with them buy from China and sell to China anything and everything. Oil, obviously, is the number one thing. Uh, then the outcome is really if things escalate, the outcome of this situation in Iran is going to dictate who the boss of the world is. Either is it going to be China or is it going to be America? So basically, it Iran to me is like a proxy war where it looks like that all that technology Iran got, it looked like China's the one supplied all that. And so if they continue supplying that, um, and so basically the winner of this conflict is where the economy is going to go. That means either people are going to be through with Israel and America, through with the brutality, through with the bullying, the bullying, and start really migrating money towards NATO or China. Then the shift of power, the empire, the power shifts. Then I think if if the money and all the power shifts towards China, then obviously that means that the dollar is going to fall, and that any investment you make needs to be towards China. Their companies, their markets, their everything. If whoever wins this, if America, wins this totally and outright, that means the empire is not dying. But if it's true that empires are going to last 250 years, and America is seen as heyday and is on its way down and all that, it's going to happen now, and China is going to uprise. So I would say, when it comes to money, uh, we little guys here in the States will suffer, and international companies and billionaires, of course, will just sending money towards China. They don't care. They don't have no. They're not. Their loyalty is that money. Is that green. They don't. They're international players. They don't. They're not into this. Patriarchal. Patriot, nationalistic stuff. So, that's what I'm looking for as far as money is concerned, or empires. Is empire? Is it going to be a shift of empires? Is China going to rise and America fall? I mean, that's really what this battle with me means. Thank you.
That's a great observation based on the end of an empire. And I'm gonna go back to the point of the prediction markets, because there's an article within NPR, and the prediction markets. This is where you have, I'm going to say, a number of rich folks that are making predictions that certain things are going to happen. For example, Maduro, when they captured him, there was, a bet that was placed that it would happen within a certain time frame, and someone, was able to win $400,000, if I'm not mistaken, off of that one bet, which kind of feeds into the idea of a political theater. Like, there's some inside information to where they already know what they're going to do, and like what Mark is saying or alluding to, that we can't really focus on what they're saying within the media, because that's the narrative trap. They're putting all types of misinformation, disinformation, anything but the truth. But when it comes to the prediction markets centered around Iran, the prediction markets made over $500,000 centered around the supreme leader of Iran losing his life. So they're already like playing this, it's like a game, to them. And we're on the outside, we're not understanding. And as far as they're concerned, we're just the public, we're just pawns, as far as they're concerned. But, they're in their big money seats, and they have all of these grand ideas and things. They don't value, life to a degree that a number of us would value life. So, we have to take that into consideration, and that's why I'm not so big on, chanting how great America is and how strong, it is, and how they're doing such a wonderful thing over there, in Iran, because my people are still oppressed right here in America. And there's some folks that will say they don't know what I'm talking about. And you have right, to say that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is. So we're still going to build into the conversation centered around international law and how it's been impacted by this action that the U.S. has taken to invade Iran off of, a whim, or just because they want to, type of thing. And how do we agree, that that's correct just because you don't like somebody, or you feel you can interrupt another country's sovereignty? I mean, I thought that's what international law was supposed to be all about. Now, some of you would say, oh, they were evil and they were doing, this and that. Well, a number of us can say the same thing with respect to what's happening or has been happening right here in America. So let's just be cautious, to how we speak, to those things. And the people over in Iran, let's just remember they are people, as well. They have families, as well. So quantum reader, you're up, and then real. After quantum reader, then real. You'll be able to come on. Quantum reader, what you got?
Um, for what I got is, I see it as a form of a distraction to a lot of legal changes. And even though it's a distraction for some groups, it's a real life event and uh, life changing situation as well for another group. And since I know that international jurisdictions, as well as protectorates and forms of conquering to enforce jurisdiction, is an ancient form of practice. That's how in international law that most emperors or kings took power. They took it either by force or my fault, I got children. Or it was by form of agreement where people came together, civilization. And most European powers, like when Europe got connected and they became one body under the crown, it was during conquering. They used force. And with me seeing that now come to this modern day and age, I just see history repeating itself in a more evolved form. And with me seeing that off of my venture through history, even though I gave a brief description, um, through my studies and what I've seen currently in the past 100 years, I'm not surprised to what's going on, but as well as it gave me a new outlook, um, and a way to observe what's happening with the system right now and with the world in totality. And what I see it as is the world conforming to a whole new form of operation when it comes to a monetary system. And some people aren't obliged to conforming to where people are going. And since some parties are neutrals, it's kind of just like biker groups or any form of we'll call street enterprise. If you are neutral, it's either you gonna pick a side or we gonna force you. And that's kind of what I see it as.
Okay, great observation, quantum reader. Um, Mark and Dayu, thank you for being patient. We got one more real social media. I'm sorry, wait. Real and then social media. My apologies. Real, then
Okay.
social media.
Yeah, I wanted to, I agree with what everyone's saying up here. I really wanted to speak to what you were talking about when it comes to the United States offing their leader. I feel like a lot of the times we forget that different countries have different outlooks on what's happening and how it's affecting them. I think there's propaganda in the West, like, oh, we took out their supreme leader, like, oh my gosh, yet Iran and others are taking out US bases all over the Middle East. So when we talk about taking away the supreme leader and congratulating that, it's like in Iran with their beliefs, they believe in martyrdom. Like you take out the supreme leader, that gives them morale. Like what is the morale in the United States with our government? We're not looking at the fact that Iran really could take this. And okay. Um yeah, no, I need to stop looking at the comments. I think we forget in our American bubble that outside of us, I feel like we're a showy military. That doesn't mean that we're actually going to win in the tactics that we use. And I think we need to stop looking at propaganda and realize that Iran and their allies, like this is not for games. This is not for play. This is a real thing that's happening. I don't think that the way we're going about this is the correct way, and we may lose this. And that's just me.
Okay. So in the comments, they said you're wrong, which base, but there was a base where at least 5 or 6 U.S. Soldiers were eliminated, and they said it was a tactical base, and but somehow it slipped in, and they lost their lives. So don't know the actual names, but these bases are being, they are being hit. Okay, so social media, you are up now. If you're talking, you
Sorry about that. Yeah,
go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you for your perspective on a few things. First, does the United States look anything that resembles Germany back in the 30s and the early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, when it come to how the police treated people in the street? Then the next question: how does anything that's going on now resemble what happens right before the start of WW2? Next question: is AI going to affect us to the point where we don't know what's real and what's fake when it comes to reporting on news, or will we get our real news from social media? And I will land right there while you try to process all that.
Yeah, so versus me trying to process it, I'm just going to ask you to explain the 3 points that, you're bringing out, because really I'm not right now, I'm not here, to challenge people based on what they're thinking. It's more for us to hear others' perspectives that we might be able to learn something. We may hear something different. And it then may spark, further conversation. But you have three unique points. So I would just love to hear what your answer is, because in most instances, you already know what the answer is to your question. So why don't you enlighten us with respect to your
Well,
perspective on those 3 points?
no, because I might be wrong about some of the history. I
Well, then
think not just
speak your piece.
well.
Yeah, just
I
speak
think
based on what you know.
okay. From the first question is how do I think what's going on in the United States reflects what went on in Germany in the late 30s, early 40s? I think that law enforcement round up people, uh, this moved them all across the country, locked them up with no justification, just based on who they were. Uh, in that context, I could possibly be right. I might not be wrong because I might not have all the facts. The second question was, how does this resemble how World War II started? How WW2 started? Sorry about that. And we don't know. I mean, I don't know all the context of which went on before WW2 actually got started, but I do know it started with a number of small WARs. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's how
Now
they
the other
start.
thing, so this aspect wasn't around. This is fairly new. AI, um, I think is dangerous because it gives us a lot of misinformation and disinformation that we may or may not actually believe at some points or sometime, and it might send us in a dangerous direction. I just think it's dangerous the way it's used when we use it to you create propaganda videos to show something that may or may not have to happen. So I land right there.
Okay, those are three good points, and yeah, you're pretty much on target with your point about law enforcement, with your point about how the world wars start. But I would say, based on what we call artificial intelligence, today. But let's understand they had access to computers long before they made it available to the public. So they may have been using artificial intelligence at points in times when we didn't have a marketing concept or name for it. But now today, that's what we call it. And based on that, thank you for bringing it out. I would like to encourage people to Google the list of emerging technologies, you all. this will help you to understand budding technologies on the horizon. So I have a list from 2019, and it talked about things like superintelligence, big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence. And at that time, artificial intelligence wasn't a thing, but now we see how prominent it is. So I just encourage you all to Google emerging technology. That way you can be abreast of what's out there, what's coming, how to prepare for it. So Brian just came into the room. Brian, how you doing? What you want to share with us? Yeah, we're looking at right now. We were talking about the petrodollar. We were talking about the prediction markets. We were talking about the impacts of the conflict between Iran, Israel, um, America, and also how China is involved, and the point that we're in the beginning stages of a third world conflict. And we're looking at international law. How this has affected international law, and also the fact that this administration has said they are for law and order, but yet it seems as if they have trampled on international law. So this just seems to be like a contradiction. So we're just talking about the environment, or just how things are perceived, right now, getting people thoughts. Even was it a mistake? I hadn't put that one out there yet, you all, but that is one of my line items tonight. If anyone thinks that this was a mistake. All right, so go ahead, Brian.
You mentioned about the petrodollar, right? If you notice how Iran is approaching this conflict, they're doing it in a asymmetrical manner. Now, it's not as if they're just retaliating against the U.S. and Israel. You notice they're also going after the entities in the Gulf states, right? Like Qatar, Bahrain, right? So what they're trying to do, they know that the U.S., right? Uh, the petrodollar, U.S. dollar, heavily rely on this area, as you know, when they purchase any oil or gas, right? It's they demand that the payments made in U.S. dollars, and plus some of these entities in this area also invest in American corporations, like you just say AI, right? Some of them are investing in Nvidia or Open AI. The approach that Iran is doing, they're trying to impose a cost on the United States and Europe. As you know, right now they totally blockaded the uh, Strait of Hormuz, right? And they're going after their industrial facilities, like gas refineries and gas plants. They're basically they're basically trying to hurt the U.S. economically, and also they're also trying to exhaust the interceptors. Right? They know that from the last war that they had in last June, that 12-day war, is that they realized that after a period of time, if they send a certain amount of drones and ballistic missiles, it basically would exhaust, right, their interceptors or anti-missile system. So now they're doing this, they're making the same approach, because recently there are some reports that
some of the Arab states and the Israelis and the U.S. Within the next 4 to 5 days or the next week, that might be out of interceptors, right? They're slowly being exhausted. And as an example, as you know that there are bases, right? There are bases that they have in the area are being attacked by drones practically every day, and they have no answer or defense against it. And they're talking about the cost, right? Of we call it the Iranian math, right? They refer to it as the Iranian math. Basically, what they're saying is that the drones, right? Iran is using a low cost method where they're forcing the U.S. and the Israeli to use a high cost method in order to defend themselves. So a drone, right? The drones that you're sending towards Israel and the Gulf states is like around $50,000, for example, $30,000 to $50,000. And each of these Patriot battery or missiles, right? You're like about half a million to a million each, right? And just I think the 2 days into the battle, 2 days into this war, they say it's not a war, it's like a special whatever. That's what they say. They use semantics. 2 days into this war, right? A $50,000 drone destroyed a $1.1 billion early radar, a long distance early warning radar in I think it was in Qatar, right? So basically, what I'm trying to say is that the cost, there's going to be a heavy cost, right, for the United States in terms of how or the military equipment that you're using in this conflict. And for the Iranians, they're basically trying to deliberately force some economic what do you call it, negativity on the parts of the Europeans or anybody that helps or participates or facilitates the conflict against them. So as I was saying, the last time I was on here, I was saying that there's no reverse gear for the Trump administration. Like I said, Trump has a narcissistic personality. He doesn't want to be blamed or he doesn't want to be looked on as a failure in this situation. So he's going to double and he's going to triple down and he's going to drag the U.S. into a catastrophe in terms economically and militarily because right now, you know what I mean? It's kind of exposing the weakness in the U.S. military setup. As you can see here, I don't think they were prepared. They didn't have a plan B or a plan C. They thought that the same reaction that they got last June, where the Iranians would turn the other cheek, they would restrain themselves. They thought they were going to get the same reaction. They thought they could just they killed the Ayatollah, their spiritual leader, and then the next day everything would be okay. The government would topple, and it would be something like Venezuela. But as you can see recently, I guess you're watching the news. You can see that they're trying to come up with all kind of spin as to why they enter the conflict and the reasons for entering it. And it's not going the way they expected to. So, I think this is not going to get any better. Uh, it's just started, right? Like I said, the Strait of Hormuz is blockaded right now. The I think the energy secretary was saying that they're soon to start doing some military naval escorts for some ships through there, which I don't know how they're going to do that. The bombing campaign they're doing right now, it doesn't seem to be doing anything because as of tonight, there's more, drones and bombs heading into those areas. So I, uh, I don't know what you think, host, but you could give your opinion what you think, or your expectation of what is going to happen in the next week or two. as to where this is going.
Okay. All right. So you made some real good points. Right there. We do have somebody that just came on the stage, and then real. I'm gonna want to hear from you because you seem like you were into what Brian was saying, and also Brian, I want you to remember your TikTok etiquette. We do have to say unalive. I didn't want to stop you. You was on such a roll. I wanted you to get your thoughts out, but you all when you come on stage. Remember your TikTok etiquette. All right, so Anna, after Anna, we're going to let Real speak again. Anna, what you want to say, Anna? You're on mute. Anna, if you're talking. Anna going once. Anna going twice. She might be new to TikTok and can't find the button. Oh, by the way, you all, tap the screen. It's free. It don't cost anything. Tap, tap, tap. I mean, we have a gang of people in the room. You all are up and maybe you're working and maybe you can't get to it like you would like to, but tap the screen. There's a daily heartbeat, up there. You can, make sure you touch that. But let's stay engaged, as we're doing this because I've yet to like really get into what I want to get into from the standpoint of the international law, the protection, and the things that we would be looking for, understanding where do we go, the people that are like here in America right now that have issues, with America itself and are trying to work those things out. So with all of this that's going on, these discussions need to be had. So okay, so Anna dropped off. We got one other person that just came. Oh, social media is back. Real, you can, Real, if you got something you want to say, let's go.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with him. And I feel like he was so technical with it, and I love a good technical like breakdown of what's happening. But I also agree. Like I said earlier, the United States is a propagandist. Like we have the best military, but I feel like tactically, Iran right now is doing us in. I feel like we do spend millions of dollars on these. I'll say Issels because I don't know if that's TikTok friendly, but we do we spend millions and millions of dollars on these big luggy machines that could be easily tracked. Like we really need to stop. Like it's the best way to I feel like come at this tactically is using the least amount of money and doing the most amount of damage. But we shouldn't even be in this in the first place to begin with. I mean, the Iran nuclear deal, I mean, Trump just obliterated that, and then he wants to end this war that was quote unquote going on. No, you started this. You started this. But that's all I gotta say.
Okay, very good point. Again, I'm not one to say it's the best. And because then we'd have to like really quantify how did we, get to that point, right? Um, but again, just looking at the fact America is considered to be the superpower. And we do have international law. We do have agreements that need to be honored, and it just doesn't appear that the government in America is like really acknowledging any of this. And it brings to say or ask, like, what's happening? Are things changing before our very eyes? Are we going to wake up tomorrow and there's no constitution, there's no international law, that what you're calling new world order is, something totally, different because people are like taking sides with corruption. I don't get it. That's just me.
So
Okay.
can I ask your panel a question? Well, is when you talk about a regime change in another country, that's normally by force. What do this panel think about a regime change by choice here in America? That's
Well,
not practical.
bro, I spoke on that a few days ago, and it ain't even what you think. It's the point that it's happening. It has happened. And I don't know if folks are like unaware and they just think, that um, things are what they were yesterday, but yesterday's price is not today's, price. And yesterday's government is not today's government. And I just don't think we've like really wrapped our head around there's been a takeover right here in America, as quiet as kept, and while we're cheering what's happening, to somebody else, in what we call the Middle East, for real, you all, we have some real serious stuff that's happening right here, in these lands, and I think a lot of people in cheering for America to do what they're doing in Iran, it's almost like you're cheering for what's happening right here in America. And I don't know if you know what you're cheering for. If it's just all emotionally driven or what. Okay. Let's see. All right, Brian. Who wants to go next? I mean, right now. Wait a
Okay.
minute. We got somebody that just came up. Let's give him a shot real quick. This would be Duca. Duca, go ahead, Duca.
What's your name? I'll see you.
Okay. I don't know if Duca
Yeah.
ready. Duca sound like they're a little bit too young for this. Who else we got right here real quick? Arthur. Arthur, did you want to add to the discussion?
Not at the moment, brother. I'm just
Okay.
listening.
You're just listening right now. Okay. All right. So the stage is open right now for the panel. If anyone wanted to make any comments.
Yeah, the
Uh,
question the question I want to ask that gentleman is when he said regime change in the US, is he just referring to the head of state or the whole
you
No,
talking to
regime?
you?
yeah.
Are we okay?
No, when I say regime change, I'm talking about in DC from the president all the way down to the janitor in the Capitol building. You know, that means every senator, every
Yeah, but
representative, every cabinet member.
how would you accomplish that? You know how everything is guided by the Constitution.
Where are you
Well,
okay?
no,
Are you okay?
because
Where are
I'm talking about a regime change by choice, not by force. And if you have a system that's constitutional system where you vote people out and where it's a democracy, then you should be able to do this if the people are truly for it. You know, a lot of
Yes,
people.
yeah, but well, in this case, like with Trump, right? How would they achieve that?
No,
Because
no.
unless he, unless he's, look what happened. Biden, Biden was in, he wasn't too well, and he was in there for the last 4 years, and they didn't get rid of him. They make him stick around.
Right, but I'm not talking about the See, people make progress. Politicians make policy. So it'd be the people that make the real change, and then it would be the elected officials that actually make the policy to advance that change, to protect it, uh, uh, to put it into legal practice. You understand? So they already have laws in on the books already, but even the people that's in power are not following those laws. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's up to the people to make change. If you leave it up to the politicians to make change, change will never happen. They might as well get them a TikTok page where they can make a lot of noise. Right now, they getting paid a lot of coins for doing a lot of nothing, complaining about people committing crime and ain't locking nobody else,
but
locking nobody up.
when you also have to blame the voters, right? They keep putting the same people in every election cycle. They have a chance to make a change, but they're appeased to a level where they like say for example, uh, say the other opponent, they don't see them as viable, so they basically decide to stick around with the person who is not doing anything in their best interest. You know, like like say for example, you have like Senator Graham. Um, he hasn't been doing much, but yet he's been put in like you know every 6 years he's there, right? And it's not like you notice, he doesn't really serve his constituents. He serves the lobbyist, right, or the elites. And that's the thing, we put these people in, but if you want to, like, say, go visit them, go visit their constituency office, a lobbyist or a donor has a better chance in seeing him than you who actually voted them in.
Right, but here go the thing though. See, we have the power and the control, but we relinquish it. And let me tell you exactly what I mean by that. See, they ask us every year, they come out, I mean, not every year, but every election cycle, they come out, they ask us to vote. They ask us to please vote, and they give us a lot of reasons why. We give them the money to run this country, and they do what they want to do with it. And then they tell us to vote to change something, which nothing ever changed. But if we hold our money, see, we don't got to pay your taxes. I'm not going to tell you not to pay your taxes, but I'm going to say you don't have to buy lottery tickets. You don't have to buy the drink with the alcohol in it. You don't have to buy the tobacco products. That would have a devastating effect on politicians. We could use our money, withhold our money, while you got billionaires giving them money to represent their interests. We can withhold the money. And when we withhold that money, it throws things off balance. The money that they take will do them no good. So when you create that kind of unity, you're going to bring about change. And if enough people talk about regime change in America, that will bring about a change because the people will act on it. If you remember, when you first time you heard Black Lives Matter started off as a slogan, somebody wrote it on a sheet of paper, and then it turned into a movement. So you seen how much money they threw at it to try to destroy it, and eventually you don't really hear it no more. So tell me what you think about starting off with a slogan as momentum build up, and then you keep on building on it, keep on building on it, and then you get the job done.
Okay, hold on, guys. Before we do, MC Mama just came on the stage. MC Mama, what you want to add to the conversation? All right, MC Mamba is gone. I did want to say this about what you're saying. Social media matters, but I did want to say this. There's a process. I don't know if you all are familiar with it called securitization, and through securitization, signatures can be converted to value or currency. This is a real thing, you all. And they use these markets to um, fund or support a number of their budget items. So even you were talking about not going to the store and not buying lottery tickets. Well, from the standpoint of securitization, if people were bold enough to realize we're not going to allow our signature to be placed within the concept of a voting roll, so they can say, oh, we have 300 million people that agree with what we're doing, good, bad, and or indifferent, because based on these signatures right here, they are a part of the process. So, I don't think a number of people have considered that factor as it turns into whether you voted for him or not, you are part and part responsible for what's happening right now. Whether you voted for him or not, you voted for him. All of this is because of your participation, in a failing system, or I really like to say folks don't truly understand the system that we have because voting hasn't changed, anything in over 100 years, but people have been able to make money, off of their endeavors. So we'll open the floor back up and let's see who hadn't had a chance to communicate in a while. Arthur, at one point your mic was off. Are you trying to speak? Oh, wait, Arthur, we got Jabba. Jabba, cheers. Jabba, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good, good. Did you want to add anything to the conversation here?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay, did you Arthur, did you want to chime back in?
No, brother. I'm just tuning in, just listening to what y'all got going on. I'll tap in when I feel I got something to say.
All right, so we got Dave Venti.
Yep. What's up, bro?
All right, go ahead. What you got for us?
So I'm guessing the prompt is meaning why so I'm gonna just why now? I feel like it's the perfect timing for Israel because I feel like they were able to do something that they've been planning on doing for years. But they needed the right reasoning and the right timing. So I feel like even though the US might have been working with Israel, Israel was able to manipulate them in a way in order to get them to execute the plan. Because Iran, even though Iran did bomb a base, that never kind of made them go all out war. So I don't know. I think it's more of an Israel thing where they just picked the perfect timing. Also, I do kind of believe in like the prophecy in a sense because things are starting to line up in a weird way. And I think they kind of pushing that timeline faster than it's supposed to be pushed. And I think what's next is just like this picture say, China gonna end up getting involved somehow, or Russia. Somebody's gonna get involved in this because what's gonna happen is some other country is gonna end up getting the backhand. That like what I'm trying to say, like some other country basically gonna get some type of consequence that they probably don't deserve, which is going to push China to step in. So I think
Yeah.
that's what's next. I do think that Iran has allies. Why their allies haven't stepped in, I'm not sure, but it's only a matter of time.
Well, their allies have stepped in. Um, their allies, they have stepped in, and China's been participating. So has Russia, with helping Iran out. But again, these aren't things that are actually being reported, on. So let's just keep that in mind. We got Sasha, and then Robert is going to be next. Sasha, go ahead.
I'm just in the comments talking. I'm just agreeing with you, and I really don't think the people are paying attention. They really don't care about what's going on, and they don't understand what's really going on. Cause this right here is crazy. They're trying to steal resources, grab land, and they did not know what was going on. They were not manipulated. They know exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. This is crazy, and this is like going against our own people. Any of us. This
Mhm.
is like going against our own people. It's crazy.
Crazy. It is crazy. I would like to remind you all, tap the screen, share the live. The Daily Heart Me, is up there. I know Bryant want to speak. We got Robert just came, into the room. My good brother Robert, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the platform, man. Enlighten us.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's always good to see you, brother. God bless you. This is I think we kind of maybe talked about this topic maybe like a couple days back on your forum, and I said that it would intensify, and that's what we see happening right now. I think what's next, it could go either way. It really could. I mean, everybody has already stepped in, and as you said, Russia and China was always there from the beginning anyway. I mean, they are the ones that gave the technology over to Iran to have in the first place. And so they've always been the hidden hand, and not just Iran, but a whole bunch of other countries as well. Now, as far as next with us here in America, I guess we'd have to see. It could be a couple different things that could occur. One thing could occur that people could actually rise up and take down the regime that we have here now. That could actually be a huge possibility. Or we could see massive casualties here. Because I don't know if everybody's really paying attention, but they don't have to have foot soldiers on the ground right now. Iran don't got any foot soldiers on the ground in Israel, but they are leveling the place out bit by bit, right? And so we could definitely expect the same thing here in the Americas. Also, I think people need to understand is that we don't have uh even though the Iron Dome that Israel had that failed, right? Those same type of technologies that Trump wanted to try to bring here, none of that stuff is fully developed yet. And right now, it seems to me on the chessboard that Iran right now is dominating the chessboard because they didn't only just strike Israel, they struck like 14 countries.
And yeah, they're at least being, and I'm sitting up here and I'm thinking about this. Well, I was talking about it earlier. They're going for a specific, they're taking out specific targets, like it, specific targets where Israel and the U.S., whoever is doing whatever, is just wilding out. They don't even care.
Well, yeah, you 100%. You know what? You're
It's
100%
crazy.
correct about that. And they are taking out like the water systems, right? They hit the water plants. They hit
Schools,
a nuclear. I
schools,
don't know if it's a nuclear
kids'
power plant,
schools,
huh?
children's schools, children's schools.
You saying that Iran hit children's
No,
schools?
no, America or Israel hit children's schools in Iran.
Oh well, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's not anything that shocks me. I mean, that's something
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're
they've been
just
doing.
wilding out. Yeah.
It was a
It's
girls'
but what
school.
I'm saying is that that
Yeah.
Iran has actually been hitting, like hitting they water sources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hitting their nuclear ports,
Being
right?
strategic. Yep.
They and but they all but but they also leveling out. Like look at Tel Aviv. Like Tel Aviv, I mean, they outright in the daytime is just hitting them with a lot of lower ordnance or like old style technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
But right now, to get back on what I was saying, I think it could go any way. But right now, one thing is for sure that Persia, which is Iran, is showing that it is actually dominant, and it could go either way. I would like to say this before I stop. I think that this right here should make our people want to hurry up and become our own government political body and right away, because this right here is going to be a lot of fallout from this. And if we are not organized and if we don't have structure, we'll get abused again as a people. But if we come together as our own government and we quickly, expeditiously, even if we created our own ragtag military, that right there would just give us what we need within our own sovereignty to not be abused with the fallout from what's going to happen with this. I mean, man, good gosh, if Russia and China really get to participating too hard, it's a WW3.
What language are you speaking? What language are you speaking, Robert? You you picked up another language? Don't nobody know what you talking about? I'm being funny, man.
I I definitely agree, especially when the UN is talking about entering as well. Like that's just dead giveaway for WW3. Oh, okay, everybody participating. Let's go.
So, is there any truth that they said what Russia is doing to Ukraine, like hitting them with artillery that was outlawed?
It's possible. I mean, we would really never know, right? Because again, political theater and the narrative trap, they're really good at, using what they want to use to persuade the minds of the people. We just got Hoji to come on. Hopefully I said that right. Hoji, what would you like to share with the panel? If you're talking, you're on mute. Hoji 213. All right, going once, going twice.
Nah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
So
Which one?
I said it's hoagie like the sandwich.
Hoagie. Okay, got you. Okay, go ahead,
But
Hoagie.
I'm saying that we okay. So all this shit's happening, right? But there's always shit happening, and it's been happening since biblical times. So as a Christian, I don't know if everybody here is a Christian, but I feel like that's the lens we have to look at it through. You know what I'm saying? And we have to look at like human rights. So listen, the Epstein files came out. All that shit was terrible, right? People all over the world getting that. And now we're yelling at Iran for beating up women and killing them, right? Nobody has it right because we're all in this world with Satan just running amok. We don't understand, is what I'm saying. They have shit going on, proxy wars. There was a time where America was helping Iran do some shit. You know what I'm saying? And there was a time where, you know, we it goes all over. It's complicated because all these rich people at the top who worship Satan, and it goes all the way through Hollywood, it goes through the media, it goes through everything. And that's just how I see it. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, we have a war. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? Everybody's gonna lose. You know what I mean?
What
Nobody's gonna win
What do you think is
until
going on?
what
I
I think's going on.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that we're we're trying to go in there and say, we're gonna free the people, right? We're gonna be the moral high. It's just virtue signaling in a higher way, and in a way it's bullying, but it's not because you convince the people to believe that we're doing something good. You know what I mean?
Is he lying though? I mean,
I
I'm
don't
not.
know. No, I don't think he's lying. I think that he
I'm
really
talking about
believes.
you. I'm talking about you.
Oh no,
We could have
I'm not
different
lying.
belief systems, but
What
the
do you
hypocrisy is the hypocrisy.
No,
Well,
no, it's not. I'm
what
not lying.
people do you think he's going to free?
That's what he's saying. He
Yeah,
not.
that's what I'm asking. What people? What people? Who
I'm talking about the Iranians to want to be Persia again. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like we feel like we're doing something good, but it's causing havoc, right? So like you have to rip off the band-aid and it hurts, but they've been chanting death to America for how long? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also want to say like we're not gonna act like Iranian presidents have just been squeaky clean and they just been morally doing the right thing. They have been doing
I,
the wrong thing to their own people for years, for decades.
yeah, I think the political theater that you call it is just a bunch of gangsters, right? And they're all gangsters, and they go in there gangster like that, and that's why a lot of people like Trump because he's like that. Like his personality is like someone who's gonna push buttons and push through like that. You know what I'm saying? But I understand why people don't like him. But like that doesn't even matter. We need to be tough. Period. We should all have guns in our house. We should all, you know,
Pew pews.
we should all be
Um,
together, right? As Americans, that's why we say let's pick something and hold to it, like the American flag, right? That could be something that we could hold to, and we could be a nation. We can't be a nation without borders and without some kind of structure that holds us together. And that's where I say Jesus comes in. Like we're a Christian
um,
nation, and we need to get
um,
back to the roots.
I
well, that kind
That's
of
disagree.
what I'm
strayed
saying.
left, but
Yeah.
I will say this. I will say this. Um, when it comes to, and I agree with is it Devontae?
Yeah.
I agree with Devontae to an extent because if I'm not mistaken, what's it called? Iran, they had a decent democracy. Like they had a decent democracy until the US and the British came in, wanted to take profits for oil because of the what is it, the Strait of Hormuz? You know, Iran, they provide 25% of the world's oil. I mean, they were sitting on a gold, like a gold mine there. And so what happened was the Shahs got into the regime. The Shah regime, I would say, got into power. They were Western world influenced, and they caused havoc to their own people. And then when the people overthrew that, those people also caused havoc to their own people. And I don't think anybody is for any regime that is crappy or sucks, but we're not going to sit here and act like the US gives a crap about Iranians. We're not going to do that.
No,
Like we're
no,
not.
no, no, no. I'm saying they're in a way they're virtue signaling. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah, I'm
acting
not
like
specifically talking to you. I'm just saying in general because there's this talking point, this Western talking point, like, oh, we care about the Iranian people and look what they're doing and they're protesting,
that's
which they are,
propaganda.
as they should. But
But
let's
you
not
gotta
act
look
like
at
we
the people
care.
that are celebrating too. That it's happening. Like the people that are from Iran. You
That's
know what
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying. They think that this is gonna make it better when actually it's like from
I
one.
think it will.
Oh, see, you're all over the place. I don't know what you're
No,
what
no,
you're
no. I
thinking.
think that it will because I think that if you're chanting death, if you keep saying you're gonna kill my kids and my family,
Unalive,
oh
please.
yeah, I'm sorry. If you keep saying unalive my family and unalive my people and my nation and my whole
That's not what they're saying.
place, yeah, but they've been saying that for
They're
years.
not saying that to you.
Yeah,
They're saying that to the government.
yeah,
No,
that
they're saying
chant.
it to every person that lives here. Because when you say
No.
it to America, you're saying it to all of us.
Not
But why are they
necessarily.
saying it to the US?
Listen,
Why?
Why? It doesn't matter why. You
that
don't
chant came
threaten.
about. That
You know,
chant came about
threaten.
when, like the real said, they had a democracy, right? And the person that got elected, he nationalized oil companies, and the British and the Americans didn't like it. So MI6 and the CIA got involved and got him overthrown. They actually revealed it in 2013 what they did.
Oh, yeah, I know about
So it's
that
all
too.
that grievance. So it's the grievances of American involvement, right, from that time, why they're chanting that. It's not like all the thin air. They're just like hate, or this to America, out of thin air. That's a long time grievance.
Right. I get it. It's going back and forth, but like, if all these countries are gangster, right, and we're going back and forth, at some point, someone's gonna get unalived, and someone's gonna be the tougher one in the crowd. You know what I mean?
That's why I
So
said
let me ask you this. Let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this. Okay, what about North Korea? Why don't we have the same type of aggression towards North Korea? Right? Look what they do to their people. Do we
Because
have the same aggression towards
we
North Korea as you
no
doing for
no, I
Iran?
think that North Korea is a different story because it's a smaller country. First of all,
Yeah, but
we
they do work. Look how they treat their
oh yeah,
population.
but listen. So when we talk about look how they treat their people and look how Iranians treat their people, look how we treat our people. We don't treat our people like we
Yeah,
do.
but we're talking about the reason, people are using how how the Iranians treat their people or the type of system they have, so that's why they need to be aggressive against them. Look what the US just came from Afghanistan, right? Look how they treat their women, right? Their women are not allowed to go to school, they're not allowed to
Right? It's
read,
all terrible.
right?
That's all terrible.
And all that stuff, right? They do their women even worse than what Iran. At least Iran, women go to university, right? They get an education, but the
Wait, have you
Taliban
been
doesn't
to these
tolerate it at all,
countries?
right? So why
No,
doesn't
no, no,
yeah? So
no, no,
why just
no.
pick on
Excuse me.
Iran?
Have you
No, it's
been
not
to
just
these
about Iran. It's just
countries?
about Iran right now because that's the war
Hold
that
on,
we're talking
hold on,
about.
hold on, guys. Hold on. Sasha was trying to say something. Her mic is
No,
kind
I'm
of low. So
asking. Oh, I'm sorry. Have you been to these countries? Have you
who are you
been to
talking to,
these
Sasha? Brian?
to
Are you
them?
talking to
Have
Brian?
you been to these countries?
Have you been to them there, to these
Yeah,
countries
both of
yourself?
you. Have you been to these
No,
countries?
I
I'm
haven't been to
asking.
these countries.
So how do you know that these women cannot read and write?
They said they
Okay.
are you are don't
I
you
know.
okay? Don't you follow what the
No,
Taliban do?
not
Do you know?
follow.
Do you know about the
Not
Taliban?
follow. I know. I know a couple Polynesian women.
I'm not talking Polynesia. I'm talking
They're
Afghanistan.
Iranian and
I'm
stuff like
talking
that.
extreme Islam
Yes.
here, right?
No,
I'm
no, no,
telling
no,
you
no.
the
No, now you're
Taliban,
saying
the
extreme.
what I
So,
mean, the Taliban, I'm letting you know this. The Taliban does not permit women to
okay, so now
read.
the Taliban.
Right. I'm talking that's what I was saying, the Taliban. I
Okay,
said
so it's the
they treat
Taliban.
women even worse, right? They're not allowed to get an education. They're not allowed to read.
No.
They're only should serve their husbands, right? In some cases, even in their room, they're not allowed. They're only allowed to have like one window with a black cloth,
And this
right?
is how,
They have to cut. And this is Afghanistan that America spent almost 2 decades in,
hold
and
on,
nothing
hold
has
on,
changed.
hold on, pause. This is what I want to say, okay? This is why things are also the way they are with us as a people. Because instead of seeing with our own two eyes and experiencing ourselves, because we are taught, we hear and we see things on television or on social media, instead of going and experiencing ourselves, this is what happens.
That's
That's
why we
why
need
I asked
Jesus.
that
You're telling me you need to go into a country
and
to actually
experience it for
verify
yourself.
it or risk
Yes.
your life to verify
I mean, I guess
whatever
if you
is
feel that
claimed to
if
prove
you
your
feel
point.
you need to
Okay,
if you feel you need to risk your
what about
life.
Hold on, hold on. Well, we're gonna try to practice one mic and kind of give each other a chance to, I get you guys want to go back and forth, but I think what she's saying, Brian, is we're very quick to take a narrative and run with it, and we don't really have an opportunity to fully investigate what it is that we've been given. So, um, I think that's what Sasha was saying. So Sasha, you can complete your point,
yeah, but
and
I'm
then
not going off narratives. These are facts. I'm not going off narratives. This is in their
Okay, you
teachings,
went mute
right?
for a second, but okay.
hold on one second. We're gonna let Sasha complete her thought, and then if you wanted to rebuttal her thought, then you can rebuttal her thought. Go ahead, Sasha.
In October of 1979, and I think it's October 1979, in a Iranian hostage situation, crisis, or I think it was called, they let the black, at the time they were called, hostages go because it wasn't, they didn't feel that it was their it what they had nothing to do with what was going on with the situation. It was 13 of them, if I'm not mistaken. It's not our business. We are part of the oppressed, as they would be. The whole situation would flip. It's not our fight. We have nothing to do with this. They don't treat us, they understand that we're treated the same as they would be. Go experience it before you start judging anything. Period.
I don't think for that point, I don't think he would disagree with you. Maybe that's just me.
I don't think you should put race into it.
Oh my God, sir.
No, I'm saying that for real because like it's bigger than that. This shit's been going on since biblical times where we're
Sir,
taking
it
over
is
this,
quite
cats taking
literally,
over that. You know what I
sir,
mean?
please, 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 not with all these melanated people up here.
Listen, I get it. I
Okay,
know what you mean, but
so
I don't know what you mean because it's a social construct. And
That
I
has
don't
done a lot, hasn't it? This
I
social
don't no,
construct.
but I don't believe it. I don't follow that.
yeah, we're talking about why the reasons as to why they're picking on Iran, right? Like I said, they have countries that do worse than what Iran, or you're claiming that Iran does to their own people, and nothing is done about it. And as you can see, for example, what went down in Gaza, right? And everybody's quiet about it because these same people every year they want us to remember the Holocaust, and they're even doing worse to these people what was done to them. So that's my point. We just choose to to pick and choose where we direct our rage. Yeah,
Exactly.
there's a lot of hypocrisy. So what's going on in Iran? Like I said, I want to allude what Arthur was saying, right? You know what the cause has as his topic. Why now? It's not why now. This they wanted to do this for the last 40 years. It's just that these previous presidents didn't want to cross that line. But the chance, no, BB got his chance in Trump. He knew Trump was brave enough to cross this line. But others, remember when Biden was when he had John Bolton, like on his cabinet, right? Sorry, yeah, in his circles, he wanted to, push Trump to do it when he was in his first term to do it, and he refused, right? When Biden was in power, right? BB was trying to force Biden, but Biden kind of compensated by giving him weapons instead, right? But this, he saw his chance in Trump. He knows when Trump is gone, no one else, he will never get another chance. So this is why he wanted it. They wanted it done now. But unfortunately, it's a little bit too late because, like I said, Iran is not going to be punked. They're not going to just get invaded or their system, regime change by outside entity, right? They will go down in flame. These guys are not afraid to die because even the supreme leader who was unalived, he was embracing to be martyred, right? Everybody knew that if you did this, it would cause unintended consequences, right? And in Trump's mind, it would be it's just another another simple task like what happened in Venezuela. It was going to be a 1, 2, 3, and he was going to get the same type of result he got in June of last year, right? But these guys, the moment he crossed this line where he unalive the supreme leader of a set of religious sect in the Muslim community, well, now he sees how serious it is. Because I'm telling you right now, he must be worried, right? He must be worried, or his administration must be worried, because now he has to back it up, right? And he could, like you said, the Russians and the Chinese, yes, they're helping, because all these accurate targeting that they're destroying these American advanced radar systems, right? and targeting systems, they're getting real-time satellite information from the Russians and the Chinese. And the Chinese and the Russians have a vested interest in helping in Iran, because if you look, like I said earlier, Iran has an asymmetrical approach to this. The U.S. also has an asymmetrical approach to this, which is China. Right? They consider China a more of a threat. They know, like with Russia, they know they can't get into any military confrontation with Russia, because that's the end of us, all of us, right? They want to go after China. So their first move was Venezuela, because Venezuela used to sell oil to China, right? You cut off that oil supply. Now he wants to do the same thing with Iran. China is getting like 40 to 50% of the oil from Iran. So if he's able to cut off the oil supply from Iran, then he has China cornered. So the only country that would be left now would be Russia. And I don't know how he would pull that off. So it's more than helping out. This is more than helping out Israel. Israel is also helping the U.S. to achieve their aim in trying to contain China. So this is bigger than what beyond, like, how they treat their women, or they treat their people and all that. Has nothing. They don't care about that, right? Because as you can see with the proxy war in Ukraine, they don't care about the Ukrainians, right? As the Ukrainians is a means to an end. It's just it was supposed to weaken Russia, right? So when Russia is weakened, they can go in, they can break it up, and then they'll go after China. That's their big plan. Like, America's plan is so open and obvious, they're not even hiding it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Hold
do
on
want
one
to
second.
take over. Oh, God.
There you go, Devontae. Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of want to take over certain countries so that they can like be able to have, I don't know, maybe like some type of security. Anywhere anybody that they feel like is a security risk, they want to be able to. So that's the reason why they're going into like Greenland and Venezuela and stuff like that. It's a business thing and it's also like a control thing. But this is the reason why I say Israel is like manipulating everything, because if you look back,
Did we lose him?
I'm not
I think
sure.
he might be having connection issues. But he got a point with how manipulation is definitely in the conversation. As I point out, the point that I thought this was Israel's conflict with Iran, but yet, we're all talking about a U.S. war. We got AKC that just came on the stage. What you want to add to the conversation, AKC? You on mute if you're talking to AKC. What you want to add to the conversation? AKC going once, going twice. Okay, Robert, I think you got something you want to bring out. You were talking about how we really need to focus on. Oh, AKC, you ready?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. This might be a bit beside the point because I just got on, man. Because I like your content, man, and I was scrolling by. I saw you. I was like, oh, heck, I need to stop here for a moment. But man, I pay a close attention to politics, man. Here recently, Hakeem Jeffries was well, probably been known about a year or so. You might know about this Hakeem Jeffries in the pockets of those fake Israelites. And then you got Jasmine Crockett. She's on their side too, who might be also in their pockets. But I'm not sure of that one yet. So I'm that right now. But I'm
Let me say this, AKC. You have a squelch. There's a squelch in your mic. I'm not sure if that's because you're using a type of headset or something, but you're getting a awful feedback. Any way you can correct that?
I don't have a headset on.
Okay,
No, maybe I need to turn it down a little bit or something. I don't know. Let me see. How's that?
that sounds better.
Oh, good. I just turned it down a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I was saying, uh, this might be a bit beside the point a bit, because I was scrolling by and I saw your own, because I like your content. And I thought, I mean, I need to stop him. So, but I pay close attention to politics, man, and I noticed here recently, maybe it might be it's been as long as a year now that it's been noted that Hakeem Jeffries is in the pockets of the Israelites, and they are using America to fight their wars. And so far, 6 soldiers have died. Now, I know for absolute certain that Jasmine Crockett is on the side of those fake Israelites as well, and might even be in their she might even be in their pockets as well. So I'm real cautious about voting for her, man, because she may have a hidden agenda for the Senate.
Well,
That's a
she
hidden.
got voted out.
She got voted out. She got primaried out.
Oh, good. I mean, I ain't for the other guy neither, but I sure wasn't for Jasmine Crockett, man, because we've been having too many people that look like us that don't have our best interests at heart, and it's appalling, man. It's really appalling.
Well, let me say this here.
Go ahead, bro.
I understand when people say that, but they need our support. You can't expect one person to put millions of people on their back and just walk around and stick their chest out. We really have to work together. See, we go to the office, we just go to the polls and we stamp the ticket and be like, oh, okay, it's all good now. And then we go about our lives. And then we don't do nothing. We don't interact. We don't speak up. We don't participate. And it's not like that. See, when they come out, they do something different. They actually participate. When they go out, they make it mean something. When we go out there, we just screaming and hollering and beating our feet. And it's a
I,
total difference, you know.
I, Robert, this your opportunity to come on in and let him know. He's speaking about our collaboration with them and how voting is going to make it better. For us. So
I would like to say this: the vote within their structure is not going to work because we would be voting for Caucasian immigrants. We'd be voting for Jesuit Jesuit led programs per se. Like we need to be 100% resurrecting our own de jure government here outside of the voting structure of the United States Incorporated. I mean, I don't know if people are reading some of the stuff that I'm putting in because I text better than I talk sometimes. But what I said is that we gotta also look at it like this. Iran has China and Russia, which are part of the BRIC nations. The BRICS nations, one of their sole targets is to take out the dollar, right? So maybe there's a possibility that all of this buildup could have been invited by the BRIC nations, including Iran, as a means to whittle down and destroy the dollar through war, to usher in the BRIC nations currency. The BRIC nations represent over like 60% of the world's GDP, right? So we need to be 100% in our collective capacity doing what the nations collectively did in the BRIC nations organization. We need to be doing that here in America, and we have that right through the Constitution that we wrote and gave to these immigrants. We are in there as a nation already. So yes, we not only do we need to be having like our own military, our own money, our own borders, our own constitution, our own charters. It's something that we can quickly do. I don't know if anybody knows about Somaliland, right? Somaliland was a breakoff from Mogadishu, from Somalia, right? And now Somaliland, unfortunately, and I say it like this for a reason, but they got recognized by Israel because this is where the population of Palestinians are going to be put off at. They're going to be allowed to go into Somaliland, which is now, after all these years of breaking away from their umbrella so-called government, right? Like Mogadishu, like Somaliland, like Somalia, right? Now they have their own money, their own constitution, their own land, their own military, and they got less than us as a people. So we got land, we got network, we got net worth, right? We literally actually have contracts and treaties already in place. All we have to do is just get ourselves together and get ourselves in order. Other than that, if WAR break out worldwide, we gonna get abused again. They're gonna be trying to abuse us again if we don't. The voting system for voting, for immigrants, like Caucasian immigrants, like in the United States corporation system, it's not gonna work like that. I did 8 years in the military, and I also did time with Department of Defense, and I thought that I could make a change that way. But in reality, it's rigged. Just like most of this war is scripted and rigged.
So,
Trump
but
and Israel already knew. They already knew what they was gonna do. They already done planned out for the reaction and everything, right? It's all rigged on is they knew what they was trying to accomplish, right? But but we got to look at it for what it is, right? We already know who the superpowers are in the room when it comes to what is happening right now. And let these guys fight in war with one another while we build up.
Right, but we got to build up. And here's the thing.
Hold on, social. So Robert, I'm gonna say it again, man, because you're using terminology like de jure and our own government. It's like, what language are you speaking? I don't know if people are really tracking with what you're talking about and how that incorporates with international law, how that cross intersects with decolonization, and you're telling folks that their vote is inadequate, and we need to do what Somalia is doing, and they have less. I don't know. I'm just not certain that people really know like where you're coming from, with that. And they may respond not really like knowing again from what resource, that you're speaking from, right? So I want you to try and clarify, if you all bear with me, because he's saying some things and I just want to make sure we know what he's talking about and we don't just respond, just the react type thing, but we kind of
No.
where he's going, because I was talking about international law and how it would impact us, and how we're here in America right now needing to work on some things that would give us autonomy, because we are a people still being governed by another nation and or people, and that needs to change. So let's just give him a few more minutes to see how he can, unravel this rope that it seemed like he'd wrapped around a number of us on the stage, and try to figure out what is he talking about. Go ahead.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on,
When
brother.
we look at, if you look at the United Nations, right? The United Nations, they have what they call the United Nations Declaration for Indigenous People, right? And this is your right as an indigenous population, as an indigenous government, as an indigenous body. So when I talk about de jure also goes back to what the UN is talking about. Okay, so de jure has to do with the aboriginal population of the people in their ordinance and their governance on the land prior colonialism, which would be the people who have been reclassified over and over again, who empire was toppled 1492, right? So when you hear me talking about de jure government, I'm talking about governance that come from the land. I'm not talking about governance that has to do with maritime law. I'm talking about governance that has to do with the land, de jure. That's the people, the original Aboriginal population, the 18th what is it, the 1800 definition of the American, the copper colored nations, that is de jure. Right now, you're dealing with de facto governance. De facto governance has to deal with a corporation that has went bankrupt, that is trying to insert itself as a corporate structure, as a government, but it is a corporate governance. So that is called de facto. But us as the aboriginals who have been reclassified as black, we are de jure. And we are the people that's inside of the Constitution. They talk about two groups in the Constitution. They talk about a group that falls under the Constitution's all of its rules and regulations, and there's another that falls out of that structure. If you go look at the Dred Scott case, you'll quickly see who that people is. That's the people that's been reclassified as black. Those are the ones that can't be citizens. So because you can't be citizens, you are prone to be set up in your own vacuum government, because the Constitution states that you're already a government. But because we, how can I say, we we kind of go along in their cities, in their fictitious cities and states, as trying to be a part of their populace via like a citizen populace. So we end up falling under their codes and their jurisdictional structures, with our fictitious corporate structures. But for us, as the de jure people on the land, we literally already have our own law. We actually, believe it or not, we already have two or three constitutions already for the land for us. And all we have to do is resurrect it. One way to resurrect it is by going to the United Nations as a political body, letting them know that we're back online as a political body here in our land, with our own governance, our own constitution, our own charter, and our own borders.
Yeah, let me interject right there because you're getting deep. You're getting real deep, and sound like you may be introducing the audience to some things that they're not too familiar with, you all. But for real, this is a subject that we do engage in, called decolonization, dealing with the UN resolution 1514. But he did touch on some things that a number of folks just may not have any education on. So I'm going to open the stage back up if anybody wants to comment on anything that he has expressed, or just being able to build on one of the points. Go ahead. Seem like AKC is coming off.
Yes, sir, man. I understood the brother quite clearly. We are, because see, I've done a lot of, years of research into our people on this continent and the surrounding islands. We are actually the same people. Nobody was brought over here by slave ships. That's all been debunked, big time, and it's obviously been debunked. And while at the same time, I've discovered that we are the Abar Rishani Niji of the Americas. We are the first people on this continent. We actually left here to establish other nations and other civilizations across the water. Technology started right here. We are the oldest people and the oldest civilization, the most advanced civilization on the planet. That's who our ancestors were. Until the colonizers got over here, they destroyed a lot of things. They flooded a lot of our cities and towns under a lot of the lakes that's around America, while at the same time, those same cities and towns that are underwater, if you can get underwater and look at some of those tombstones, I guarantee you that those tombstones got the year one, 001 or something like that. Because we've been on this continent so daggum long, it's unreal, man. Look at, we have on this continent, we have the oldest known pyramids, the oldest known mummies, the world's oldest known mega structures. I mean, we are that people. We are that advanced people. We are the Atlanteans, so in so many words. But man, dude, this is our continent, and we need to take it back. And like the brother said, we need to go to the United Nations and let them folk know that we are back online, and we need to get our sovereignty back. The
Okay.
sovereignty that the Caucasians, the Germans, and all them other folk took, and
Okay.
put those red folk in our place, giving them the money, the reparations that belong to us. That's supposed to be ours, man.
All
Every
right.
time we
Well,
talk about reparations, they want to talk about getting some kind of committee together, but they didn't do that with Ukraine. They don't do that with Israel or other nations that they giving money to. It always got something to do with some kind of yeah, we need a committee to study this. No, you don't. Just give us our daggone money, man. Give us our
Yeah.
land, man. All
But you
that's
know what's the
ours.
problem with right now with that? Because
hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Devon, I want to say this. Robert, you can put some fire into AKC, and you didn't kind of shifted the tide of the conversation. And, you know, we lost Bryant. We gained Man Cave, and sound like we're getting ready to go into the concept of the colonizers and you know what reclaiming autonomy looks like, you know, for us that have been over here in America experiencing the oppression and the atrocities that we've experienced for ages and generations, which, as I was in the beginning talking about the international law, I was talking about protection, you know, across the board as we deal with it under the Fourth Amendment. But we see internationally, it's a concept that's, you know, expressed and or needed as well. So it just seemed like we're getting ready to roll into decolonization. For those of you that are not familiar, it's a UN resolution. And with that, you know, we want to understand when we step on this platform, and I'll tell you, AKC, when we deal with decolonization, it'll supersede the concept of reparations because we'll actually be in control of the resource. Not saying that we then should not, you know, pursue it, but I'm just telling you that concept of, you know, true decolonization and being in front of reclaiming our autonomy or self-determination, you know, it will supersede what reparations would have been able to provide, you know, us with. We got Man Cave that just came on, but Devonte was coming off of his mic. Devonte, I want to give you a quick chance to say what you want to say, and then we're going to go to Man Cave.
okay, my only pushback with that, and I even though I do agree, my only pushback is that one, that can start a civil war, because of course you're gonna have people who in on their side that's gonna say, well, we've been giving you resources. This is how they're gonna feel. We've been giving you resources, and now you want to take back resources that we've been giving you. Also, the multiracial ethnicity that's been going on as of recent years, whereas a lot of black people aren't necessarily 100% black anymore. They're becoming multiracial people. So it's kind of hard to convince people who are of multi races and we consider them our black brothers, and that'll be a lot of convincing, but they will have pushback on that because they don't consider themselves 100% black like we once were.
Okay. So pushback is not something we're unfamiliar with. I mean, that's going to happen. So I'm never concerned, about them or they or what, but we do have to be focused on what our agenda is, what our interest is. I would suggest that you find UN Resolution 1514 and read it and bring yourself up to speed. And for those of you that may think it's an intimidating document, you all, it's less than one page. It's a real quick read, but it's a powerful read. And then it's also coupled with 1541, and that will take you into section 73E. You all really should read that as we're looking for solutions in this day and time. We can actually stand on a platform and or place where we can do something to then compete even on the international stage. So I'm going to give Man Cave a chance to come into the conversation. And I know, CP, this is really like one of your favorite topics. This would be about the time that, we need to get you up on the stage, CP. You can just let me know if you about ready to, come up, and we can make sure, you get up on the stage. Man Cave, go ahead.
Hey, what was going on, my good brother? I hadn't been listening quite long, but it doesn't take much to pick up on what's going on. As far as the pushback, DNA stretches far, man. They could do DNA results on just as about as any group of people and tell where you come from and the amount of time you've been there. So that there is no pushback. What it is a bunch of excuses. So I don't think that uh the system just don't want to. They don't want to give what's deserving, because they got other agendas, and we're going through those things that they actually want to succeed right now. So like right now, we got California. I think they at a position to where they fixing to receive reparations, and of course that's a diverse state, right? Uh, but and I think somewhere in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, or not one of those Carolina states, they have in the process of receiving reparations. But I think DNA is the way they can attach where you from, what group you come from. It exists, So there is no excuses as far as that goes.
Okay. So I want to say this as folks are asking about a UN resolution 1514 and 1541. No, it's not a book, you all. It's a resolution coming out of the UN. You can Google it, and you can go to the UN site and you can download it. And these are real short reads, okay? They're on one page that you get the full impact of what the resolution is, but it's also providing direction for what we can do. These things were supposed to be pushed into our communities back in the 60s. And all of the countries agreed that these things should happen based on decolonization, but our people got tricked during that time. We accepted civil rights outside of moving toward
Human
reclaiming
rights.
authority and accepting what decolonization would provide. I wanted to say this to Man Cave as he was talking about reparations being provided to or in California and possibly in some of these other states. I'm just going to say this symbolically, look good, sound good, but as long as we're still tied to the constructs of their system, whatever they give, it's going to go right back,
Right back to
in the
them.
right.
Right.
So it's better for us to understand what decolonization truly means. So then, when reparations pour in, we're able to internally use it within the construct of government that we've created. That's the strange language that Robert was speaking, you all. And I know a number of you had no idea what that man was talking, about. It's like we need to learn within the discussion that he's, speaking from. But this is a real concept. And within the elevation room, with CP, Jabbar, is here, Man Cave is here, Robert is here. We're functionally working to put the apparatus together that our people can stand within solidarity to deal with decolonization. And thankfully, they've already agreed that this needs to take place. We just need to step in, as AKC said, and let these people know that we're here to represent on behalf of our heritage. Okay. So, but this is strategic. This is something that people have to be enlightened about. As a number of you're not really clear with respect to what we're talking about. So, before we can get to the point of a movement, you all, we're off of TikTok and we're educating, more and more people with respect to what 1514 is, what it means, and how we're reclaiming the autonomy. And we've already been given a go ahead to do it. So we're focused on what the criteria, is for this, and we want to make it official. So, from that standpoint, when we become in front of the resources, I just want to say this: it changes the game with respect to what we can do as a people. And once, and for a very long time, we can move ourselves from under the governance of another people and or nation. I know this sounds strange because we think our ancestors, they gave their lives so that, we could have the right, to vote. But I just want you to understand that right to vote does not benefit our interests. That right to vote, it continues to uphold this European superiority that continues to enrich them and their families. And a number of our people run around talking about what do they call it? Black economics and building black banks. Well, we'll never be able to really do these things, in this structure. So I know this is where people start, checking out and, going to another channel because we're introducing a concept that's been on the books since the 60s, but we're reviving it, here over 60 years later in 2026. But it's time for our people to understand what it means to stand on solidarity, right? So make sure you follow me. You
Hey,
can
you had
inbox.
somebody drop. You had somebody drop to bring up CP.
Oh, of course, CP. If you're ready, come on up, man. Come on up, CP. So my point is, let's see if I can find him, in here. There you go. All right. Ooh, do that. All right. So, my point, is that it's time to revive this conversation and get back on track so that we can move in solidarity. This is a solution, you all, that we can stop arguing, we can stop fussing and fighting, and we can get out of all of the nomenclature that we've been used to calling ourselves, from, black to African American to colored to FBA to Indian to indigenous to original. It's like we love all these colorful names, but within international law, these things don't mean anything, you all. So, first of all, we need to understand what the criteria is, and then we can go from there. Robert, well, first of all, hold on. We got some other people on the stage. Real, you haven't had a chance to say anything in a while. If you
No.
want, I'm not forcing you to.
Nah,
I'm not.
yeah, nah. I appreciate you, and I definitely agree. I would have arguments with my mother about this because I would hate voting. And she was like, why? And I would say, why would I vote into a system that does not have my best interests at heart? Why would I vote into a system that I think is corrupt? That makes no sense. How does that support me? And I feel like, well, I heard a saying, and I heard a saying that said, history is always written in the eyes of the quote unquote winner. Um, we have been inundated with a colonized history for the longest time, and it's like a big business. It's like a big corporation. Like that's exactly what it is. And slavery, I feel like, repeats itself in many different ways. I feel like, in general, with capitalism, with being black, I feel like this whole system is rigged against us. Now, how we get out of that system, I'm gonna leave it to y'all because I feel like y'all have been studying this. But I feel like for the longest time, I have felt like it is a lose lose situation because it's like it's very divisive back and forth in this country, but nobody ever wants to get to the root of any issues, and we never get to the root of any issues because we are again casting a vote in a system that is kind of already rigged against us. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, real quick. I know I got two people that's trying to come up on the stage. I want to get you up on the stage. But first, CP, I want you to come up on the stage so the people can see who you are. And I can kind of let the people know to follow you. And also, when you do pop off, that you'll be going to open up the elevation room, that they can actually go over to the elevation room as well, because I'll be closing down, here. Like within the next 30 minutes, or so. But you guys would want to hear what CP wants to say because I don't hold back. I would not know about the decolonization, Resolution 1514, stateless, self-governed territories, and all of the dynamic things that Robert so eloquently, talks about. AKC, has spent some time, looking at, if it were not for, CP, himself, I wouldn't know about those things. So if you're still in the room, CP, let me give you this last spot on the stage so the people can see who you are. They can follow you. And, then when you pop out and go to open up your room, they'll be able to, follow you, over into the room. He's doing the elevation room, over there. And for those of you that this is like your first time, such as real, it's like this is her first time hearing this information, and her parents, yeah, they will argue because this is all, we've known. This is what we've been, given. Uh, this is what we've been given, right? So I'm trying to get CP to come up just for a short, just to show your face. I know you say you got to go, but you're
Hey, my
going.
brother, what was the initial topic anyway?
Um, man, I was kind of working my way into it. I think CP just came on. Yes, he did.
All
So
right.
the initial topic was dealing with international law. It was dealing with, protection. It was dealing with decolonization. But I had to work my way around to it, dealing with the emotions around current events and even looking at how that would impact us as we are working on decolonization, seeing how international law is being trampled on, right now. So it has taken us this long, to really get into gear. And Robert so masterfully, switched the gears and changed the direction of the conversation, and made a lot of people, leave the room, and a number of people hang around because they're curious, as to what we're talking about. But down here at the bottom, the last man on the page, you all, that's CP. I'm telling you, follow CP, and he's a dynamic speaker. Okay, he's good with communication and the concepts around the decolonization. We're working, together in the background. We have two different discords. One is the elevation room. The other one is E-Bar, which is evidence-based academic research. We hope to see you all, in those rooms, or you can inbox us. You can inbox us and, say you want more information about 1514, and we'll try to involve you all in the conversations that we're having around making this real. We have contact with an individual from the UN, as we're furthering, this process. But CP is down, at the bottom. CP, you want to say a word? I know you said you're going to have to go to open up the elevation room, but would you like to say anything? I want you all to make sure you follow him.
Yeah, peace, everybody. First and foremost, y'all can hear me.
We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yep. Peace.
Man, it's been a powerful discussion. When you first opened up the room, brother, I was cooking dinner. Me and the wifey was sitting back listening. It's been a lot of scholarship, and I can really appreciate that, especially when it comes to these type of topics. I've been trying to do a good job moderating. I had a couple of clowns that tried to show themselves in the chat. We don't play that. But one thing I do want to say is what's going on right now, without being the echo chamber, to add, is the hegemony of the United States. And people need to know what a hegemon is. But the hegemony of the United States as an empire is being unseated. They are, some people say the phrase London Bridge is falling down. Well, they're already falling down. It's just what they're doing right now is a last desperate act of maintaining the appearance that they are still standing. And I say that very strategically because that's exactly what they do. This is why they control the media. Most people only get their information from the media, from the TV, from these different news outlets. And that's why these conversations like this are so powerful. Even when we have people from other nations, I realize that you have people on your stage, 2K, that are not from the so-called geographical United States. Their comments, as well as our comments, are all unique. And we need to hear each other out when we share these different aspects, because we have different perspectives of this empire. Those here, for example, who stay in the geographical location known as the United States, they have a certain perspective, but those who live outside, and I say this very, very carefully, those who stay outside of the so-called geographical United States, we need to be able to have that mind space to hear them as well. So when we talk about the hegemony that's going on, this it's been going on for a while. One example of that hegemony is the aspect of that petrodollar that you spoke about earlier. And the world is tired of it. The world is tired of it. And the only people who seem not to be tired of it are the ones that's geographically placed here and still to believe that this government is a government. And they're not a government. They haven't been government for quite some time. And I say that in the name of entertainment purposes only, because we crack jokes here on TikTok and we do respect the TikTok language, but certain things need to be said so people's awareness can be raised to a point where the veil is no longer being entertained. The power in our words is one thing that I want to land this long plane flight on. The power of our words. When we recognize that words hold power, they hold authority, and some people recognize the power of spell casting, I cannot express that enough. What am I talking about? I'm talking about when we refer to it as our government. Our government. When you say your driver's license, your birth certificate, you're giving that thing authority, and the people who put it over you, they receive authority from it. That's how powerful your words are. So we need to get to a place, not because CP says so, but because we individually recognize the significance of it. It's not your government. That's not your driver's license. That's not your birth certificate, et cetera, et cetera. No different from you when you hear these leaders from other nations say that they want to destroy Americans. You need to detach yourself mentally from that identification because it's a misclassification. That's called assimilation. And I'm not trying to rhyme, but all of these words are very important because contracts can be written and they also can be implied, meaning you can speak a thing and you create an attachment to it called a latch. This is why these conversations are so important, because these dynamics, 2K, need to be highlighted, but we have to start somewhere. People like microwave conversations. We don't like microwave conversations. We like slow cookers, if you don't mind me using that type of analogy. We have to take time to realize that everyone in this room, there's more than 200 people here. Everyone here is on a different frequency, but we are here together doing what's called interpersonal communication skills, whether we realize it or not. So it's not about agreeing on every point, but it's about getting every point across so people can make their own decisions. So this is a platform where we have discussions, where we're talking about this WAR that's taking place with Iran, that's taking place with China, that's taking place. Please mark my word on this. Mexico is going to join in. Mark my word on this. You haven't seen it on the news yet. Mark my word. Mexico is going to make a decision. Canada is going to make a decision. And there's going to be some other nations, 2K, that's going to make some decisions that's actually going to catch some people off guard. Why? Because the hegemon of the United States is over. No one's dealing with their bullshit no more. No one. Literally. Game over. And a lot of people are uncomfortable because the empire is falling. But the first level of being uncomfortable is recognizing you've been dealing with empire anyway. And to say it's your empire, your government, your this, your that is the first step that people need to make to spiritually detach from being attacked by something that was never yours in the first place. That's what decolonization is all about. First, mentally, then we can take the next step forward.
Okay,
I'm
you
not here
all.
to make friends.
That's CP. Like I said, make sure you follow him. He's getting ready to open up the elevation room, and I'm gonna be shutting down. Here within the next 30 minutes. So we're going to wind down and kind of fill in some of the gaps as far as decolonizing, what it truly means, because a lot of folks don't seem to understand what that is, even as we're internationally dealing with, the concept of the possibility of a third world conflict. So, CP, you said what you had to say, man. If you want to go open up the room, you can do that, and hopefully, like I said, you guys follow him and go on over there to the elevation room as he gets started. You will not be disappointed. Okay, and there's a guy
Can
out there, Black Scarab or something along those lines. He's kind of itching to come up, like he has something very dramatic or very powerful. He wants to say. I don't know. What it is, or what side. So may I say, well, sure, sure. AKC, come on.
Drop social media. Let
can I
let them come up.
can I ask a question? Can I ask a question to real?
Hold
It's
on,
to be
Jabbar.
just
Hold on, Jabbar. Let AKC, and then I'll get you, Jabbar.
uh
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add this one last thing. Are we all familiar that we've been reclassified on our own land likely more than 40 different times? With the last
Hello.
one being with Jesse Jackson calling us African Americans, which his families are actually Cherokee. And that was a sellout, man. That was a literal sellout. And a lot of our people back then were vehemently against that. But he pushed it anyway.
Yeah, we're aware of it.
Okay. But 40 different times, man.
I'm gonna say
And that was done to separate us from our home continent, man. All those different reclassifications were done to separate us from our home continent, the Americas.
Man Cave said we're aware. I'm gonna say they not aware, Man Cave. I don't really think they know what he talking about. Like AKC and CP and Robert, like y'all talking a real different language. Hold on, Black Scarab. Jabbar wanted to say something. Jabbar, go ahead.
I just want to ask real a quick question. Um, because she has said that she don't know what the solution is or what we've been working on, like the people who um who've been doing their research and ready to make a change. So I just want to ask her, with that being said, and you feeling the way you feel, if you receive information or let's say a movement, you witness a movement happening, would you be willing to follow that movement if it's going in a direction that you believe is better than what's happening today?
Yeah. So I'm understanding the concepts. I'm listening. I just don't know the exact steps to do or what the protocol is. And I feel like that's why I'm in this live, and that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go ahead and listen, because that I'm not arrogant, cuz it would be different if this concept was and I studied it. I haven't, but I have an understanding of what the basis is, if that makes
So,
sense.
yep.
So that's
So the last question, just to this, and you might not know the answer to this question, but this is just a more belief thing. Do you believe that there's more people like you out there?
Most definitely. I feel like at least black people, and I'm not, and there are people that don't um know exactly what the feeling is, or they don't know exactly how to pinpoint it and how to start or join a movement, but they know something's off. I feel like there are people like myself who are very mutable and can understand certain concepts outside of what we see day to day in this nation.
right.
That's a good answer, sister. And I love to hear stuff like that. But the best thing, don't be trapped by things that actually seem like they fit with your narrative or what you think they are. Just continue to study, research, and dig. Because you can easily be assimilated into a group that can cast off. So don't initially accept everything you hear from a group because, like I said, like the origin of the Black Panther Party and Crips and Bloods, they changed drastically. They started with a means that befitted us, but this it's so easy to cast away. So just keep researching and looking and listening and see the dynamics of everything.
Okay, so I want to say this. Um, um, we deal with enlightenment first. People have to be enlightened, then they can understand even what a movement is. So many folks want to, jump to the point of
Facts.
talking about a movement, this or a movement that. So we're dealing with enlightenment. The other thing to what Man Cave, was saying as far as getting misinformation, disinformation, or whatever. The way we'd like to distinguish ourselves based on other folks that are dispensing information, we deal with evidence-based academic research. So these are all things that you can find substantively, be it through court cases or internally, through the law or some document of antiquity. That makes a world of a difference when for example, we started talking about decolonization and then we gave you all the actual documents, 1514. And some say, oh, is that a book? Is that this? So from there, the conversation can then be broadened, but we've given you a resource, that we use. So I'm encouraging you and others that have not heard to read the document because some people are just going to respond out of emotion. Okay. And that's a sign of ignorance, but we're in the great war of ignorance, right now. So I applaud you for even hanging around as to where people are leaving. Again, as long as we were talking in an area and or arena that was speculative and, based on emotions and feelings, people are ready to talk. But once we get into defining items and talking about work that needs to be done, man, they start leaving the stage and the numbers start dropping. But that's all good because everybody's not built for this conversation. So what I'll do right now is open the floor to Black Scarab. I think he's really been looking to, say something.
Yo, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I just want to say that I don't pick and choose a side, and I do want to respond on emotion if that's okay with the floor.
Sure.
Okay. I'm very, very disappointed in the way that my country, my government, and everything that's supposed to be supporting me as a person, as a whole, as an entity. I don't understand why um, all of these entities are together under nation, under God, if you will, the China, America, all these nationalities are all supposed to be have a relationship, just like the Antarctica Treaty. They all decided that nobody's gonna go to Antarctica. I'm just going off topic a little bit, but I'm just saying if they can like get understanding or a collective conglomerate or whatever as one person, why can't they come to an agreement of this war? I feel like it's more than what our eyes see. And I want to challenge that with somebody that has a alternative motive for that.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all something now. I mean, you deal with him how you deal with him, but that's my family. That's chaos. He done changed his picture, but I know that voice, anywhere. So you can hide your picture, but I know who you is. Okay, that's my family. That's my cousin for real. So, but I ain't asking nobody to handle him with
I
gloves or.
I speak to him. I think
Hey, bring
first,
it, bring it. I want to bring it.
it's respectfully though. It's not with the intent to make you feel any kind of way. What it is that first the first thing you did was call this place mine. What you did was give yourself a a, a connection to it because you live here. When this country was so-called established with the intent to keep you at the bottom of the food chain.
Okay, stop right there. We was here first. So
Exactly.
what are you
Exactly.
what you saying? We was here when they came here. So what?
I don't disagree with that.
Hold on, man, Cave. Hold on. Hold. Chaos, let him finish his thought. They gave you an opportunity to speak. Let him finish his thought, and then
Yeah.
you can rebuttal or ask the question. Go ahead, man, Cave.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, brother. You're totally right. We have access to every land population in the globe. Yet through WAR, denomination, colonialism, we've lost that power in some sorts. So when you claim identity with saying that you're claiming it to the government. That's kind of what he was speaking on earlier. You're claiming the connection to the government and not the land itself. So that's all my change of thought is referencing to. Yes, you are indigenous to the land, but are you claiming yourself a part of the government?
He's opening it up for you to communicate. Black Scarab, you're on mute if you're talking. You're on mute, Black Scarab, if you're talking. Okay, he's having a technical.
My
Okay, there you
bad.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Nah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree. And I'm not subjecting myself to the government. I'm just basically saying that we was here before they came here. So it's no, they found this and they found that, and they established this and they established that, because we was well established before any entity or anybody ever came to this land. So it's my land. So when I say, our and me, mine and all that, I'm not siding with anybody. It was mine, my rightful land from the beginning.
Uh-oh. I think
Yeah,
I need. I
yeah.
think
But
I need.
when you asked the question, when you said that you didn't understand, you should have understood.
I
You
think I need.
understood it.
I think I need CP to come back and explain this to him. CP, if you still in the room and you got a minute to explain it to him. Okay, CP is on the stage, right now. If you heard what he said, CP, go ahead and give him the knowledge.
Yeah, I was just about to go open up my space, but if he want to go ahead and speak, I'll let him speak. But I'm not finna do the petty cutting each other off and all the. I'm not finna do all that. So he can go ahead and speak, and I'll
No,
go ahead when it's my time to speak. I'll speak.
no, I'm saying go ahead and elaborate. I'm not trying to be petty or nothing. I'm just trying to understand, what the subject is, because I kind of just came into the room. I don't really know what it was, but I obtained what I thought I heard, and I'm just building off of what I think, the subject was. So
Well,
where we at?
Man Cave, you made a great point as to how he was connecting himself, to this government, and he didn't seem to understand what they did as the colonizers. And this is where I was asking CP to come up and explain real quick, as he need to go and open up the elevation room. And I'm telling you all, follow CP and get over to the elevation room. But CP, if you can kind of explain real quick, to him what they did in coming over and colonizing, because he's saying, well, we were here first, and they couldn't have done this and they couldn't have done that. So he doesn't understand what they've done. So if you'll listen, Black Scarab, CP is going to give you the knowledge as to how they positioned themselves to colonize this land.
All right. So anything else, AK?
Blacks. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
was it AK or Blacks? I'm sorry. My
Black
apologies.
Scarab.
Blacks. Yeah, my fault. AK. I didn't mean to say your name. Blacks.
All
Anything
right.
else from you?
No, sir. I'm all ears.
All right. So here's the thing. I'm not just speaking to Black, to everybody, because I think I'm the one who kind of sparked that, talking about my and our. What I'm talking about is the instrumentalities, the lashes that was created by the colonists. Who are the colonists? They are the hybrid Europeans that most of my people. I got an echo. Somebody can mute up for me. I got a feedback.
I think I got everybody muted up.
Let me see. Maybe that's me. Let me turn my phone down there. So some of my people still call them white folks, but that's okay. I call them hybrid Europeans. These are the ones who created many of these instrumentalities, and I gave examples of them when I was speaking earlier. Birth certificate, driver's license, state IDs. And we went over there a couple of weeks ago, right here on your platform, 2K. If you remember, we looked up specifically named identification documents that are not lawful identification. These are misclassification documents. So when I say we need to be careful moving forward, it's not that nobody got to snap their fingers and do what CP want them to do. Is when we become cognizant of these things, as these are instrumentalities that are known as latches, that give jurisdiction. These are jurisdictional issues that CP Corny ass is talking about. Well, when we say it's my land, our land, that's a whole nother conversation. And that is not one of the examples I gave earlier. Again, that is not one of the examples that I gave earlier. So when we say my government and you're talking about the United States, we need to have a conversation, a mature conversation, not a trapdoor conversation where I'm trying to argue, but we need to have an interpersonal communication skills where we can listen to each other, listen to what's being said, and listen to what not being said. What is not being said? I'm not telling anybody to throw away their birth certificate. I'm not telling anybody to throw away their driver's license. I'm not telling anybody to go and shred their state ID cards. That is not what I'm doing. what I am doing very carefully, because I've been doing this for a while, but that doesn't mean CP knows it all. Never said that. Never said that shit. What I'm saying is when we say my government, well, there is a power that's attached to those words that many people don't know is really giving the Hyper Europeans authority to act on the spiritual realm, and it's manifested through the physical. Most of us are stuck in dogmatic presentations of religion, which keeps us in the fucking loop. The loop is what CP is against. I'm not against anybody on this stage. I'm not against anybody who's happened to be listening in the chat. What we need to do is to recognize the power of separation. I'm not talking about going to WAR with the United States. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about realizing that these instrumentalities, they're not yours because you didn't create it. They are vehicles. You have a Cadillac parked in your garage. You are not the Cadillac. You drive that motherfucker. So comprehend exactly what I'm saying, because I'm not here to make friends with nobody. I'm here to cause disruption in colonized mentalities. I realize also in these conversations that there are some people who look just like me who join these platforms, 2K. I don't care if they're family or not. That, and I'm not talking about your family, by the way, so I ain't say no names, that are participating in keeping up colonial operations. So therefore, I don't waste time talking to agents. I spend my time investing in those who really want to get the job done, which is on a mental plane first. Because before it becomes physical, we have to realize the problems mentally. We are mentally attached to something, and we continue to give it authority by saying, oh, well, I got to do something about my government. I got to do something about my president. It's not your president. Never has been, never will be. It's not your government. Never has been, never will be. But you have the power through freedom of speech, hint, hint, to say whatever the hell you want to say. So if you want to continue to give them the authority to act, then they will continue to act on that authority. But it comes from you. This is why you got phrases like power is the people, power of the people, et cetera, because that's exactly where the power comes from. Government don't have shit to give anybody in this room, including a motherfucking tissue to wipe the tears from. They don't have it. But if you give them that authority, they will act upon it as if they do have it. This is where our abuses come from. This is where they start, and it ends where they start. But we have to be able to acknowledge the point that it's not ours. It's not ours, but they would love for you to keep on saying it's ours. The land is ours. But how did they get us off the land? By paperwork. Paperwork, documentations, latches, applications, instrumentalities, etc., etc. None of those things are yours, and that's why I gave the example of a Cadillac, Ford Focus, whatever the vehicle may be in your garage or the front driveway. It's a vehicle. You use the vehicle. You don't claim to be the vehicle.
Okay. All right. Chaos, you been popping off your mic quite a few times, but he finished now. If you got something you want to say, you can say it. CP, I know you got to go. And that was a great illustration, from that point right there. CP is getting ready to go open up the elevation room, you all. Make sure you follow, CP and get over to the elevation room. As I promise you, we're going to shut down in the next 15, 14 minutes. All right. Black Scarab, did you have something you wanted to say? And then we got a new person that just came, up
Yeah,
on the stage. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, CP, that was a beautiful presentation, and I really like what you were saying. I'm not diminishing nothing that you were saying. I'm not siding with anybody but us, and I do believe that words have power, and everything that we speak come to in fruition, and that's the whole thing of everything. Everything is symbolism, wordplay. It's all, the joke is on us, and I'm kind of tired of it. And I just want to realize, I just want to like help everybody else come together, like to one cause, one sound, one band. But if anybody could, feel what I'm saying, like I want to connect on that frequency.
Yeah, well, the one cause, the one sound, the one band. I mean, that's what we talk about. and that's why we're enlightening people as to what decolonization is. It's a process. But folks have to want to slow their mind down so that they can at least learn to understand what we're introducing. But we're so emotional that we want to react and we want to have a number of things to say before we really give ourselves a chance to be introduced to a concept that we can then have intellectual response, or let me say an educated, response. All right. So, um, yeah. So if you want to know more about these things, like I said, Resolution 1514, it's a real short read. It's, less than one page. You can kind of get everything you need to know. And then we're having conversations outside of TikTok. And we're doing this every day. Well, the hardcore ones, we're on this thing, every day. And then we have either weekly discussions or, like I said, on Discord or whatever. We're in communication, but we're active, with this thing. So I really hope to connect with Real so that we can bring her, up to speed, and you too, Black Scarab. But look, somebody else just came in, Rich Tan Famous. Seem like you got some issues. Maybe you got something you need to get off your chest, or what's happening, Rich? Welcome to the stage. You're on mute if you're talking, Rich.
And while you waiting on him to unmute, I want to apologize to you publicly. I got passionate on your stage, 2K. That's usually what I do on my stage, so I apologize for my strong language. But I realized the numbers didn't drop. The numbers didn't drop, so I just want to say I apologize for that. I get
Yeah,
passionate.
I'm cool with it. It was fine. But go ahead, Rich. What you want to say?
I really don't have much to say, man. First of all, I want to say, it's a blessing, to be on this, podcast, whatever you want to call it, because I really don't get on the internet. But it's a blessing to be here listening to you black men, talking about some real stuff. I really don't have nothing on my chest. I don't have nothing ill towards anybody on this podcast, on this live. Um, I just was just talking about the language, since we talking about our people and our ancestry and where we come from. Curse words, we didn't invent that. If you want to be technical, our ancestors did not use those words. So that's all I'm saying. That since if we want to get back to our ancestry and where we come from in our language, let's stop using profanity, because that is the European language. That's all I'm saying. If we were in a professional setting, those words that he is using would not be acceptable. I understand that he's emotional or whatever the case may be, but we have to learn how to talk to one another in a better way. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this with respect to passion. I get it, and I know we've come to think certain words, that's called cursing, but cursing is when you say, I hope you get sick. Okay. That's more to cursing than, saying dung or sugar honey iced tea. Okay. Those are just phrases that society has deemed to be less favorable, per se. And let's just be real. We're far, far from the truth of our ancestry. And yes, we are trying to work
Some
our
of
way.
us, some of us are far from it. You can't speak for everybody, because I know my history. I know where I come from. I,
Okay.
I know the truth. I'm young, but I was raised by older people. You
I
know what I'm saying? I was raised by my grandmother, my great grandmother, my aunties, great aunties. I know my history, and I
I'm
know how to carry myself as a black man. That's all I'm saying. So, and I feel like using curse words is degrading. You know, it's they people say that using curse words mean that you have a low vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I believe. And I don't curse. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. I have never cursed, but I know that curse words should not come out of our mouth.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. I know the young brother that was speaking, and he has a very extensive vocabulary. I'll say this: you may know the truth, but you still speak language, so you still speak English, so you're far from your heritage or your ancestry, although you have some understanding as to your history. There is an old proverb that says, I may be rude, but not in knowledge. So if we can get past the emotional concept of certain, the words that are being said, but
I
come to
don't
understand.
believe in the Bible either. I don't mean to cut you off, but
Well, you did. But I'm saying being able to understand the nature of what somebody is talking about and is there value to what he's saying outside of, oh, you know, he used the B word or he dropped the F bomb, but what he said, did it make sense, or not? And you may be a very unique individual who, you've never used that language
Can
or
I
you've found a way,
can I
not to use, that language. But we just can't be so narrow-minded in this day and time to kind of expect that out of everyone. Now again, like I said, if he was up here saying, I hope everyone on this panel gets sick or wishing ill, to me that is cursing. Okay, to old principle standard and heritage, that's what you call a curse or a spell that's being put on someone, not a phrase called dung. Okay, not the F word or those are just, I mean, that's just the way we've come to speak within the English language, at this point. So go ahead, Rich, you were trying to say something. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rich the Famous.
yeah, like I was saying, I understand what you're saying too, but I am a born leader and I am a minister. And if we were in a church or in a professional setting, I would not let him use those words around me. I would say something to him, whether you, him, or anybody on this channel likes it. It doesn't matter to me. You never know. You don't know who's listening to this right now. You don't know if it's children, anything. Anybody could be listening to this right now. And we, as grown black men, need to start setting a real example for the generation that's under us. And using those words is one of the things that we need to stop using because that is a form of anger. That is why our black men are going through so much now because we are too angry and too passionate about the wrong things. Like it don't take all that. That's all I'm saying. I would not let him speak like that around me if we was in a professional setting or in a church or you know somewhere like that. I would say something to him. That's just me. You accept what you accept and I'm going to accept what I accept. It is what it is.
Understood?
Can I say something to this real quick? I just want to say
Please do.
this.
Sure.
I just want to say fuck, shit, damn, oh my god. That's what I want to say.
That's you. That's on you.
You know, words are words. He expressed his words. I feel like there maybe is a level of arrogance to you. Um,
Really?
I think you missed the point of what he was trying to say. And instead you went picking apart his words, the full perspective of a thing. It made sense. And I feel like a lot of people resonated with it. I feel like you're willfully being ignorant to the point that the host is trying to make. And I will end this with fuck, shit, damn, motherfucker. And that's all I have to say.
Can I respond to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. First off, foul language, as the brother mentioned, it came from the white man. The MF, what that sister just said, a lot of people don't know, and it's good to do research that when that term came from when a young man had a sack put over his head, and his mama, sister, or his cousin who were female had sacks put over their heads, and they were forced to do it. That's what I don't even use those terms, man, myself, man, because it is degrading. It is disrespectful. And they're not made for us. They were not made for us. So and yeah, it's seriously degrading. The B word, when the lady was the a healthiest woman on the plantation, and she was forced to have intercourse with different men. You SOB, when a young man was a son of a female, his mama was the female dog of the plantation, but she was forced to have intercourse with all the healthy men. And I agree with the brother 100%, man. So not to degrade the brother what he was saying earlier when he used foul language, because the brother was on point. I definitely got to give my brother his props. He was absolutely on point. And another thing, and what he said about the IDs, the birth certificates, and all that. Along with that, we need to stop identifying ourselves with those white terms like Negro, Black, Colored, and African American, because those are all misnomers. Those are reclassifiers. They put those on us again, as I mentioned earlier, to separate us from our home continent. So we need to stop identifying ourselves with those terms. Just like we need to stop identifying ourselves with birth certificates and IDs and driver's licenses. So all that need to go together. And the last thing, our biggest educational system that benefits us immensely is the National Archives and the Library of Congress, because it talks about a whole lot of stuff about us on our home continent, who we were before the colonizers got here, because there was a lot of Caucasian people writing the truth about us way back when, and it's in the National Archives and in the Library of Congress. I don't trust the Caucasian educational system as it stands right now in our country. And I mean, when I say our country, I'm not talking about them. So yeah, this is this is ours, and I'm gonna keep saying, and I hark on that to the day I die. This is not that when they talk about this land is your land, this land is my land. No, partner, it ain't your land. It's our land, and we're gonna leave it at that. So, but yeah, man, the National Archives and the Library of Congress has so much information about us that it is unreal. I mean, it even talks about the old pyramids and the mummies, and I'm talking about everything, all the artifacts that dates back millions of years. That the those who is that? Those who support Darwin and his theory of evolution, that nonsense. They try to say, "Oh, we only like 300,000 years," and now, partner, we're way older than that. And it's documented that we're way older than that. And a lot of archaeologists prove that we're older than that. And the oldest known fossil of a Caucasian is only like 4,000, 5,000 years old. The oldest known fossils of us are around 7 million years old. So yeah, partner, we've been around here a very long time, especially on this continent, being the first civilized, the first advanced, and the first complex civilization on Earth. Right here, we are those people. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love my people with a very deep-hearted love, and I'm not I never disrespect my brothers and my sisters, because we've been disrespected too much already by all these other ethnic groups, and I'm sick of it, man. I am, man. I am dead sick of it. When I see these folk trying to talk bad or talk down to one of my brothers or sisters who did something wrong, they may have been wrong. But I'm not finna sit up here and let you in all of your wrong talk bad about my brother and my sister, that ain't finna happen on my watch, partner. No, ma'am, no, sir. No way. So I mean, yeah, my brother may have did something bad. My sister may have did something bad, but I'm not finna let you, with your history, your long history of colonizing and graping and all kind of other experiments and all kind of other crazy stuff that your people did, talk bad about my brother and my sister. That ain't finna happen, partner. I don't. I got the goods on them folk, man. I do. When they start talking, you better believe me. I'm interjecting myself. They don't have to invite me. I go in and say, "Yeah, partner, here it is. On here's a scoop on you while you talking." Yes, sir. And I ride off into the sunset, happy in a mug,
Brother AK,
proud with my chest stuff out.
brother AK. I'm sorry. I
No
don't mean
problem.
to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the host is trying to speak. Can you please let him speak, and then if he wants you to have the mic back, he'll give it back to you. Appreciate you.
Okay. So yeah, I'm actually getting ready to move towards, shutting things down. But I did want to say, based on the whole semantic, thing, again, his intent is what I tapped into, but I respect, what Rich was saying. And this is just, me. I'd like to have a platform where people can come and express themselves. And again, if I thought it crossed, a line and it was calling, ill to someone, I would interject. But the semantics, like I said, sometime it will get, in the way. And the intent behind what he said, I was really able to key in on that. One other principle that, I go by from AKC and, Rich, if I were in a room with you all and I understand that's how you feel, then I personally would govern what I say, just not to offend you, from that sense. But we really need to focus on, sometimes a man can be rude, but we need to get down to the knowledge. He may be rude, but if he's not, in his knowledge, then we just need to try to deal with, what the meat is from that standpoint. We've come such a long way. We've been through, so much. So semantics, really shouldn't be one of those things that we now decide to fall out, over. And then the intention behind what's being expressed. He was just using it in colorful terms to, make certain he could get his point across. It was offensive, to you, but like I said, I know he didn't mean any ill will to anyone, and he apologized, but I don't feel there's any need, for him to, to apologize. But I want to thank you all for coming into the live. CP is, you better follow him. He's getting ready to open up, his room, and he's going to deal with this conversation even broader from the standpoint of government, decolonizing, international law, stateless status. There's so many other things that he focuses on. And I'll just tell you this, outside of semantics, it's all centered around evidence based academic research. And for people that want to know more about decolonization, UN Resolution 1514 and 1541, you all really should reach out to us and come to see what we're building, what we're talking about, and be a part of our Discord rooms. CP is in front of the elevation room. I am in front of EBAR. EBAR stands for evidence based academic research. And collectively, we're planning and we're strategizing and we're actually doing something to unravel the chain of words that we've been bound by for generations and ages. So, with that, I want to thank you all. And real, make sure you inbox me so I can make sure you stay connected and that you can get this understanding, this enlightenment so that you can be well versed in the things that we're covering. So with that, I appreciate you all for coming out tonight, and I may do another pop up at some other time, but every Wednesday and every Saturday, if you look at my profile, you'll see when I'm on live. Thank you all, and good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are.